Hello everyone, and welcome to the Saiyan What Ifs. So we are back with an interesting movie on what if Goku was the Cyberpunk Saiyan who defied the Megacorps. Goku x Lucy x Bulma, Cyberpunk 2077 x Dragon Ball. But before we start, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you enjoy my content. Let's start the story. Chapter 1. The Last Pure Saiyan. Rain hammered the neon-drenched streets of Night City, each drop fracturing the reflected light into 1,000 jagged colors. Kakarot, known as Goku to the few he trusted, stood motionless on the edge of a skyscraper, the downpour plastering his wild black hair against his scalp. Water streamed across the minimal chrome adorning his temples, the only visible tech on an otherwise unmarked body. Through eyes untouched by optical implants, he tracked the convoy 60 floors below. 3 armored vehicles cutting through the midnight traffic. Standard corporate formation. 2 escorts, 1 transport. Arasaka logos gleaming on black metal shells. His target rode in the middle. Goku flexed his fingers, feeling the familiar tingle of ki energy dancing beneath his skin. Unlike the electric blue of cyberware activation that marked most enhanced fighters, his power manifested as an amber glow, pulsing through his body like liquid fire. He wasn't augmented, N.O.T. in the ways that mattered in Night City. While others sacrificed flesh for chrome, he preserved what made him different. What made him Saiyan? You in position, monkey boy. The voice crackled. Through his minimal comm implant, the only concession he'd made to modern necessity. Don't call me that, Krillin. Goku's voice remained calm despite the insulting slur often hurled at Saiyans. And yes, targets approaching the interchange. You're sure your intel's solid this time? A snort echoed through the connection. When have I ever steered you wrong? The West Side job, the Militech extraction, that thing with the twins in. Those were extenuating circumstances, Krillin interrupted. This is different. My source says the package is legit. Capsule Corp's willing to pay top penny for its recovery. Clean job, no questions asked. Goku frowned, watching the convoy navigate the crowded streets. Capsule doesn't usually hire outside help. They've got their own security. Maybe they need someone with your special talents, Krillin said. Look, I don't ask why the richest corp in Night City wants to hire an unaugmented street samurai. I just take the finder's fee. Thunder cracked overhead, momentarily drowning out the city's perpetual hum. Goku tapped the side of his head, activating the minimal targeting system installed behind his left ear, another necessary evil in a world built on technology. Package is moving into position, he said, ending the conversation. Stepping back from the ledge, Goku closed his eyes and centered himself. Ki energy, that mysterious foe, RCE that had marked Saiyans as both valuable and dangerous, swirled through his system. While corporations had spent decades trying to replicate it through cybernetic enhancements and genetic manipulation, they'd never quite captured the raw potential of natural Saiyan ability. That's why they'd hunted his kind nearly to extinction. Goku opened his eyes, now glowing with amber energy. He sprinted forward and launched himself from the building's edge. For 3 weightless seconds, he fell through rain and neon, his body a dark silhouette against the city's kaleidoscope backdrop. At precisely the right moment, he channeled ki through his muscles, slowing his descent as he landed with impossible grace atop the middle vehicle. The impact, barely audible above the rain, nonetheless alerted the driver. The convoy swerved, but Goku had already anchored himself with ki-enhanced strength, his fingers denting the armored roof. We've got a jumper, a voice shouted through the vehicle's external comms. Engage countermeasures. Electric current surged through the vehicle's shell, enough voltage to kill an unaugmented human instantly. Goku gritted his teeth as the electricity coursed through him, his ki forming a protective barrier that absorbed most of the shock. Pain still registered, but he'd endured worse. Much worse. With a precise application of force, he punched through the reinforced roof. Metal peeling back like paper beneath his fist. The security team inside opened fire immediately, bullets ricocheting off the vehicle's interior. Goku dropped into the cabin, moving with preternatural speed as he disarmed the first guard with a fluid strike to the wrist, bone cracking beneath his fingers. A fucking Saiyan, the second guard shouted, eyes widening behind his tactical visor. He reached for a heavier weapon, an auto shotgun capable of turning even enhanced individuals into red mist. Goku moved faster. A swift kick sent the guard crashing into the vehicle's side panel. The third reached for his neural disruptor, but froze when Goku's eyes locked with his. "I wouldn't," Goku said quietly, key energy visibly crackling around his clenched fist. "I'm not here for you. Just the package." In the front passenger seat, a corporate executive in an expensive suit reached for a concealed weapon. Goku sensed the movement without looking, he extending his awareness beyond normal human perception. He flicked his wrist, sending a controlled pulse of energy that knocked the executive unconscious without permanent damage. "Anyone else feeling heroic?" Goku asked, glancing between the remaining conscious guards. The driver kept his eyes forward, knuckles white on the steering wheel. The disabled guard cradled his broken wrist, hatred burning in his eyes but survival instinct keeping him immobile. The third guard slowly raised his hands. "Smart choice." Goku turned his attention to the real objective, a reinforced case secured to the floor between the seats. Parade couriers typically transported data, tech, or biologicals. This case, with its specialized containment protocols and multiple security systems, suggested something particularly valuable. Or dangerous. As Goku knelt to examine the security measures, the vehicle suddenly lurched violently to the right. Through the armored windows, he glimpsed the cause: a second hijacker had targeted the convoy. This wasn't part of the plan. The attacking vehicle, a heavily modified combat chassis with Militech markings, rammed the transport again, sending it skidding toward the concrete barriers separating the elevated roadway from a 30-story drop. The driver struggled to maintain control as automatic weapons fire peppered the armored shell. "Shit," Goku muttered, bracing himself against the interior fixtures. This complicated things. Corporate rivalry wasn't unusual in Night City, but a direct assault on an Arasaka transport suggested something more significant than routine industrial espionage. The transport's left side scraped against the barrier, showering sparks into the rainy night. One more hit would send them over the edge. The driver swore frantically, fingers dancing across manual controls as automated systems failed under the assault. Goku made a split-second decision. Whatever was in that case, it wasn't worth the lives of everyone in the vehicle, even if they were Arasaka employees. He anchored himself with one hand and focused his energy. "Hold on," he shouted to the stunned guards. As the Militech vehicle lined up for another ram, Goku thrust his free hand toward the right side of the transport. A concentrated blast of ki energy burst from his palm, propelling the Arasaka vehicle leftward with enough force to evade the oncoming attack. The Militech driver, caught by surprise, swerved too late and clipped the transport's rear quarter. Both vehicles spun across the rain-slicked roadway. Goku maintained his grip as the world tilted sickeningly. When the transport finally slammed to a halt against the concrete divider, he was the only one still conscious. Moving quickly, he returned to the case. Up close, he could see its rate design. The Capsule Corp logo was discreetly embedded in the security interface, confirming Krillin's intel about the client, but raising new questions about why Arasaka was transporting capsule property. The case's security responded to his touch, scanning his minimal implants and, more surprisingly, his biometric signature. The locks disengaged with a soft click. "Biometric recognition not anticipated," a synthetic voice announced. "Saiyan genetic profile detected. Secondary authorization protocols engaged." Goku frowned. The case shouldn't recognize him specifically. He'd never worked directly for Capsule Corp. Yet, something about his Saiyan biology had triggered an override. The mystery would have to wait. Outside, sirens wailed as Night City's corrupt excuse for law enforcement approached. Corporations handled their own security in this city, which meant Arasaka reinforcements were likely already inbound. Securing the case, Goku climbed back through the damaged roof. The Militech vehicle had fled, its OC.CU pants apparently deciding that a secondary attempt wasn't worth the risk. Rain continued to pour as Goku leapt from the transport to the roadway barrier, then to an adjacent maintenance ladder that led to the Undercity. By the time Arasaka security arrived, he had vanished into Night City's labyrinthine depths. The afterlife stood as a monument to failed ambition in Night City. Once fighters, runners, And fixers died in corporate service, their names lived on in drinks at the legendary mercenary bar. Goku avoided the place when possible. Too many eyes, too many potential enemies, but Krillin had insisted on the meat. Client wants to verify delivery personally, his handler had explained. Goku navigated through the crowded establishment, the sealed case secure against his side. He changed into dry clothes, a simple black synth leather jacket over a gray shirt, with combat pants and boots. Practical attire that wouldn't attract attention, yet allowed freedom of movement if things went sideways. Most patrons gave him a wide berth, sensing something dangerous despite his minimal visible augmentations. In a city where worth was measured by the quality of your chrome, Goku's relative lack of enhancements should have marked him as insignificant. Instead, it made him an anomaly, something unpredictable. The few Saiyans remaining in Night City typically embraced extensive modification, accepting corporate ownership in exchange for the implants necessary to survive. Pure Saiyans like Goku were rare enough to be considered myth by most of the population. Krillin waited at a corner table, his small stature belying the extensive combat mods beneath his skin. Unlike Goku, he'd embraced augmentation fully, neural processors for tactical analysis, reflex enhancers, dermal armor. The only natural parts remaining were his brain and central nervous system. "You're late," Krillin said without looking up from his drink, a neon blue concoction named after some long-dead solo operator. Had unexpected competition. Goku slid into the seat opposite his friend, keeping the case between them. Militech tried to intercept, nearly went off the flyover. That got Krillin's attention. His cybernetic eyes, concealed behind apparently normal brown irises, refocused with an almost imperceptible whir. Militech hit an Arasaka transport. That's corporate warfare territory. Wick. H means whatever's in this case. Goku tapped the container, as worth starting a shooting war over. Do I want to know if you looked inside? It's still sealed. Krillin nodded approvingly. Good. Client was specific about that. Speaking of which, he glanced toward the bar's entrance. Here she comes. Try not to drool. Goku followed his gaze and momentarily forgot to breathe. Bulma Bree. FS cut through the crowded bar like a mono blade through synth flesh. Heir to the Capsule Corporation empire, she rarely appeared in public without an entourage of security and corporate handlers. Tonight, she wore the calculated appearance of an affluent netrunner, high-fashion tech wear in Capsule's signature blue and white, with subtle implants visible at her temples and wrists. Her turquoise IR, a genetic modification that had become her trademark, was partially braided with data threads that shimmered as she moved. Every eye in the afterlife tracked her progress. Some with lust, others with calculation, all with awareness that one of Night City's most powerful figures had entered their domain. She stopped at their table, intelligent eyes assessing Goku with unsettling precision. You're the Saiyan, not a question. Goku nodded once, meeting her gaze without the deference most showed to corporate royalty. You're a long way from Capsule Towers. A slight smile touched her lips. Sometimes the work requires a personal touch. She slid into the booth beside Krillin, who suddenly seemed very interested in his drink. I understand there were complications. Nothing I couldn't handle, Goku replied, pushing the case toward her. Though I'm curious why Arasaka was transporting capsule property. They weren't supposed to be. Bulma placed her hand on the case, triggering another scan. The locks responded to her touch, confirming her identity. This was stolen from one of our research facilities 3 days ago. Our intelligence suggested Arasaka was moving it to their primary research center tonight. So you hired me to steal it back instead of going through corporate channels, Goku concluded. Meaning whatever's inside is something you don't want anyone knowing Capsule had in the first place. Bulma's eyes narrowed slightly. You're smarter than your profile suggested. People make assumptions based on what they see. Or don't see. Goku gestured to his lack of visible enhancements. Makes my job easier. Indeed. She began entering a complex series of codes into the case's security panel. Your handler said you completed the extraction without killing any of Arasaka's people. That's unusual in your line of work. Goku shrugged. They were just doing their jobs. Mercy is rare in Night City. So is privacy, he countered, glancing meaningfully at the case. Yet here we are. Bulma completed the final authorization sequence. The case hummed softly as internal mechanisms disengaged. Your discretion is why I requested you specifically, despite some reservations about your minimal enhancements. The case opened, revealing specialized containment units for biological materials. Within a transparent cylinder at the center, a small object pulsed with orange-amber light, remarkably similar to the energy Goku channeled during combat. As that, Krillin began, leaning forward before catching himself. Key responsive technology, Bulma confirmed, her voice lowered. The first successful integration of Saiyan bioenergy principles with modern tech. Goku stared at the glowing object, feeling a strange resonance with the energy it contained. That's why the case recognized me. It's tuned to Saiyan biology. Very good. Bulma seemed genuinely impressed. This prototype represents decades of research into key manipulation. With it, we can potentially create technology that responds to intention rather than direct input, a fundamental shift in how humans interact with machines. And if weaponized? Goku asked quietly. Bulma's expression hardened. That's precisely what Arasaka intended. Which is why retrieving it was critical. She closed the case, security protocols re-engaging with soft clicks. Your payment has already been transferred to your account. 50% more than the agreed amount, given the complications. Goku nodded his acknowledgement but made no move to leave. That doesn't answer my original question. Why was Arasaka transporting capsule property? For a moment, Bulma seemed to debate how much to reveal. Finally, she sighed. Industrial espionage is common, as you know. What's less known is that certain research, particularly involving Saiyan biology, operates in gray areas legally. So, collaborate unofficially. You were working with Arasaka on Saiyan research. Goku's voice remained neutral, but Krillin tensed. Recognizing the dangerous undercurrent, my father initiated certain joint ventures years ago, Bulma replied carefully. When I discovered the nature of some projects, I began shutting them down. Arasaka was reluctant to abandon the potential applications. So they stole the research. And I hired you to recover it. Bulma held his gaze steadily. Does that satisfy your curiosity? Before Goku could respond, his internal comm activated with a priority alert from one of his surveillance systems. Simultaneously, a ripple of tension spread through the bar as patrons reacted to something at the entrance. Arasaka Security, a full tactical team in corporate colors, had entered the afterlife. Krillin cursed under his breath. They traced the case. Impossible, Bulma whispered. Its signature is masked. Goku's eyes narrowed as he assessed the tactical situation. 6 operatives, all heavily augmented, methodically scanning the crowd. Their leader, a tall, LL man with distinctive flame-like hair, remained by the entrance, eyes hidden behind advanced optical implants. They didn't trace the case, Goku said quietly. They traced me. The lead operative's head turned in their direction, a predatory smile spreading across his features. Even from across the room, Goku could see the man's exceptional enhancements, military-grade cyberware integrated with a physique that suggested Saiyan heritage. Vegeta, Bulma breathed, recognition and something more complex coloring her voice. Goku's attention snapped to her. You know him, Arasaka's premier enforcer. She hesitated. He's Saiyan, like you. But unlike you, he's embraced every enhancement the corporation offered. We need to move, Krillin urged, already calculating escape routes. That's not a capture team. That's an elimination squad. Goku made his decision instantly. Back exit. I'll create a diversion. You can't fight Vegeta, Bulma protested. I'm not planning to fight him. Goku slid the case toward her. Not here. Too many civilians. Bulma secured the case and nodded. There's a capsule safehouse in Watson District. I can guide you there. Go with Krillin. I'll find you. Goku stood slowly, positioning himself to block the Arasaka team's line of sight to his companions. Try not to get shot before I catch up. Krillin grinned despite the tension. Same to you, monkey boy. As his friends moved toward the rear exit, Goku stepped in the opposite direction, directly into the main floor of the afterlife. He didn't look back to see if the Arasaka team had spotted Bulma. Instead, he focused on becoming the most obvious target in the room. It wasn't difficult. In a bar full of chromed-up mercenaries, his relative lack of visible augmentation made him conspicuous. He moved with deliberate confidence through the crowd, making eye contact with Vegeta across the room. The Arasaka enforcer's smile widened, revealing teeth modified to Predator. Rye points, an aesthetic choice that reflected the corporation's perception of Saiyan heritage as something savage and primitive. Target confirmed, Vegeta's voice carried despite the bar's noise, enhanced by vocal amplifiers. Clear the area, corporate business. Patrons immediately began creating distance, some exiting entirely. In Night City, corporate enforcers operated with impunity, and no one wanted to be collateral damage in whatever was about to happen. Goku stopped in the center of the now cleared space, hands relaxed at his sides. Vegeta approached with measured steps, his Securite Y-team fanning out to cover potential escape routes. Kakarot, Vegeta said, using Goku's birth name, his Saiyan designation. Or do you prefer the human name? Goku, isn't it? How quaint. I answer to both, Goku replied calmly. Though friends usually go with Goku. Are we friends? Vegeta's tone was mocking. We're Saiyan. That should count for something. Vegeta's expression hardened. What counts as loyalty? You've stolen Arasaka property. Recovered capsule property, Goku corrected. But you already know that. Semantics. Vegeta made a dismissive gesture. The research has PP locations beyond capsule's limited imagination. Surrender it now, and perhaps we can discuss your incorporation into Arasaka's enhanced Saiyan program. Goku allowed himself a small smile. I'm not interested in becoming corporate property. No. Vegeta spread his arms, showcasing his augmented form. Look at what embrace of technology has granted me. Strength beyond natural limitation. Reflexes beyond biological constraints. I am the evolution of our kind. You're a weapon they control, Goku countered. Our ancestors would be ashamed. Rage flashed across Vegeta's features, genuine emotion breaking through his corporate conditioning. Our ancestors are dead, Kakarot. Their traditions died with them. Only power remains. Power I've claimed while you play at being human. I never claimed to be human, Goku said quietly. But I'm not a slave to technology either. As he spoke, he subtly gathered ki energy, not for an attack but for what would come next. Vegeta noticed. His optic implants registering the energy fluctuation, but misinterpreted the purpose. Combat enhancements activating, Vegeta announced, his cybernetics responding to the perceived threat. His eyes glowed, with artificial light as weapon systems integrated into his arms powered up. Final warning, Kakarot, surrender the research. Goku shook his head. Not happening, Vegeta. Then die with your outdated principles. Vegeta lunged forward with augmented speed, covering the distance between them instantly. But Goku was no longer there. Using ki to enhance his natural Saiyan reflexes, Goku sidest. PPED the attack with millimeters to spare. Vegeta's enhanced fist shattered the floor where Goku had stood, sending concrete fragments flying. Before the Arasaka enforcer could reorient, Goku was already moving, not to attack but to escape. He channeled ki energy through his legs and leapt, clearing the bar's main floor in a single bound and landing on the elevated DJ platform. Impressive, Vegeta acknowledged, systems recalibrating to track Goku's movement. But futile. He gestured to his security team, who raised specialized weapons, EMP cannons designed to disrupt cybernetic systems. Against most opponents, such weapons would be devastating, temporarily disabling their augmentations and leaving them vulnerable. Against Goku, with his minimal implants and reliance on biological ki manipulation, they would be far less effective. The Arasaka team fired simultaneously, EMP pulses converging on Goku's position. He channeled ki energy into a protective field around his body, absorbing most of the electromagnetic interference. His minimal implants flickered momentarily but remained functional. As I suspected, Vegeta noted, satisfaction in his voice. Your resistance to electron IC countermeasures confirms our research. Natural ki manipulation provides certain advantages. Is that why Arasaka's hunting Saiyans? Goku asked, maintaining his defensive posture. To study those advantages, Vegeta laughed, the sound distorted by his vocal enhancements. Hunt implies we're seeking to harm our own kind. No, Kakarot, we're saving what remains of our race by giving it purpose in the modern world. By turning them into weapons. By making them relevant. Vegeta's expression turned serious. The galaxy forgot us, Kakarot. Left us to die when our homeworld was destroyed. Humans welcomed the survivors only when they discovered our combat potential. At least Arasaka acknowledges our value. While Vegeta spoke, Goku was analyzing escape routes. The front entrance was blocked by security. The back would be compromised once they realized Bulma had fled. That left more creative options. Maybe there's truth in what you say, Goku conceded, subtly shifting his weight. But I choose my own path. Ed key energy into his right hand and fired a controlled blast. Not at Vegeta or his team, but at the ancient sprinkler system overhead. Corroded pipes burst under the focused energy, releasing a torrent of stagnant water onto the bar's main floor. As Vegeta and his team reacted to the sudden deluge, Goku leapt toward the wall, rebounded with ki-enhanced strength, and crashed through one of the afterlife's decorative windows in a shower of synthetic glass. He heard Vegeta's enraged shout as he hit the rain-soaked pavement outside and immediately rolled to his feet. Night City's perpetual downpour would provide momentary cover, but he knew Arasaka's enforcers would be in pursuit within seconds. Pressing his palm to the concealed interface on his wrist, Goku summoned his transportation. The customized motorcycle, dubbed Nimbus, for the cloud of amber energy that sometimes manifested around it when Goku channeled ki through its systems, roared around the corner as if sensing its master's need. He leapt onto the bike without breaking stride, the neural interface recognizing him instantly. As Arasaka security burst from the afterlife's entrance, Goku was already accelerating into Night City's chaotic traffic, the bike's specialized stealth systems activating to mask his signature from corporate tracking. Krillin, he sub-vocalized, activating his comm link. Rendezvous compromised. Arasaka's premier enforcer made me personally. Yeah, we noticed. Krillin's voice came back, background noise suggesting he was already mobile. Bulma says head to these coordinates instead. A location pinged in Goku's minimal HUD, an industrial zone in the city's eastern sector. On my way, Goku confirmed, banking Nimbus through a tight turn to change direction. Any pursuit on your end? Negative. They seem focused on you. Bulma says this Vegeta character has some kind of personal vendetta against unaugmented Saiyans. Goku weaved through traffic at dangerous speeds, the motorcycle responding to his slightest adjustment with preternatural precision. It's more than that, he knew my birth name. Shit, Krillin muttered. That's corporate deep background data. Means they've been watching you specifically. Question is why, Goku said, checking his mirrors for pursuit. I'm nobody special. Krillin's laugh crackled through the comm. Tell TH. To the key energy you're throwing around, monkey boy. Saiyans who can manipulate natural energy without augmentation are practically extinct. Makes you valuable research material. Goku didn't respond immediately, focusing on navigation as he guided Nimbus into a maintenance tunnel, a shortcut through Night City's labyrinthine infrastructure. The bike's headlight illuminated the narrow passage as he accelerated into darkness. Bulma mentioned a safe house, he said finally. That means she's planning to stick around. Seems like it. Says she needs to run tests on the prototype to ensure it wasn't compromised. Also mentioned something about helping you optimize your natural abilities. Goku frowned. I'm not interested in becoming a Capsule Corp experiment either. Might want to keep an open mind, Krillin suggested. From what I gather, she's genuinely interested in preserving Saiyan abilities, not exploiting them. Plus, she's easier on the eyes than those Arasaka lab techs. Focus, Krillin. I'm just saying, having the heir to Capsule Corp interested in your well-being isn't the worst thing that could happen. Especially with Arasaka gunning for you now. The Maintenonk E-tunnel opened onto a deserted industrial street, rain creating sheets of water across the cracked concrete. Goku guided Nimbus through the deluge, holographic advertisements reflecting in the standee. Ing water, bright islands of color in the urban gloom. ETA 5 minutes, he reported, changing the subject. Any word on our blue-haired client's security arrangements? Minimal corporate presence, Krillin replied. She's apparently keeping this off Capsule's official radar. Place as a research outpost disguised as a storage facility. Sounds secure, Goku muttered sarcastically. Beggars see, and be choosers when you're running from Arasaka's attack dog. Goku fell silent, considering the implications of the night's events. The prototype, Vegeta's personal interest, Bulma briefs handling. The operation herself, pieces of a larger puzzle that he couldn't yet assemble. One thing was certain. His relatively quiet existence as an independent operator in Night City had just become considerably more complicated. The Capsule Corp. Storage facility occupied half a block in Night City's industrial district, an unremarkable prefab structure surrounded by similar buildings. Its only distinguishing feature was the slightly better maintenance of its exterior and the absence of gang tags that decorated neighboring structures. Goku approached cautiously, Nimbus's engine muted to a low purr as he circled the perimeter. His enhanced senses detected security measures far more sophisticated than the building's mundane appearance suggested: motion sensors, thermal imaging, automated defense systems disguised as utility fixtures. He parked in a blind spot he identified in the surveillance coverage and waited. If this was truly Bulma's facility, she would already know he had arrived. Sure enough, a service entrance cycled open on the building's eastern side. Goku dismounted and approached on foot, senses alert for any sign of pursuit or ambush. Krillin met him at the door, relief evident on his features. "Took you long enough." Our client was starting to worry. "Had to take the scenic route," Goku replied, stepping into the facility. "Make sure we weren't followed." The interior belied the building's external appearance. While disguised as a warehouse, the space functioned as a cutting-edge research laboratory. Holographic interfaces hummed with activity as automated systems analyzed data. Prototype devices in various stages of development occupied workstations throughout the open floor plan. Bulma stood at the central console, the recovered case open before her. As she examined the key responsive prototype, she'd removed her fashionable outerwear, revealing practical research attire underneath, still in Capsule's signature colors, but designed for functionality rather than appearance. She looked up as Goku approached. "Good. You made it. Wasn't easy." He glanced around the lab. "Nice setup for a storage facility. One of several off-books research stations I maintain throughout the city." She explained, returning her attention to the prototype. "My father doesn't always approve of my methods, so I've learned to create resources independent of the main corporate structure." "Rebellious heiress routine?" Goku asked, a hint of skepticism in his voice. Bulma's eyes flashed. "Practical scientist routine. Corporate bureaucracy moves too slowly when it comes to emerging technologies, especially those with ethical implications." She gestured to the prototype. "Like this. Do you know what you really recovered tonight?" Goku moved closer, examining the device. Up close, he could see it wasn't a simple energy container as he'd initially thought. The orange-amber glow emanated from what appeared to be a crystalline structure suspended within a complex technological framework. Some kind of energy converter, he guessed. Close. Bulma manipulated the holographic interface, expanding the schematic. "It's a key amplifier, designed to enhance and focus natural bioenergy. The first successful prototype that doesn't require direct biological integration." Krillin whistled. "Meaning anyone could potentially use it. Not just Saiyans." "Theoretically," Bulma confirmed, "though it responds most effectively to those with natural key affinity." Goku frowned. "Like me. Exactly like you." Bulma's eyes met his, which is why Arasaka's in fork. Was so determined to recover it, and why he recognized you specifically. The prototype was calibrated using genetic samples from unmodified Saiyan DNA. A cold certainty my DNA. Bulma at least had the grace to look uncomfortable. "Not exactly. The base templates come from preserved samples dating back to the original Saiyan arrival on Earth. But yes, your specific genetic profile was used in the calibration process." "Without my knowledge or consent," Goku noted, voice dangerously calm. "I wasn't aware of that aspect of the research until recently," Bulma insisted. "When I discovered how the samples were obtained, through surveillance and collection of genetic material from your living environment, I shut the project down immediately." "Which is when Arasaka decided to acquire it for themselves," Krillin interjected, trying to diffuse the tension. "Yes." Bulma returned her attention to the device. "They've been running parallel research into key manipulation for years. While C.A.P. Sewell focused on harmonious integration of technology with natural energy, Arasaka's approach has been more aggressive. Weaponization," Goku concluded. "Among other applications," Bulma agreed. "Their most advanced project, The one Vegeta participates in, attempts to artificially replicate Saiyan transformation capabilities through cybernetic enhancement. Goku's expression darkened. Like most of his kind, he carried the potential for transformation under specific conditions, a biological inheritance from his ancestors that modern Saiyans rarely accessed. The ability had been largely bred out through generations of dilution with human DNA, and the environmental triggers were difficult to replicate on Earth. That explains his interest in unmodified Saiyans, Goku said. They're trying to unlock the transformation through technology. Without understanding the spiritual component, Bulma added. Ki manipulation isn't merely biological, it's connected to consciousness, to will. That's what makes your abilities so unique, Goku. You've maintained the connection between body and spirit that most enhanced individuals sacrifice for technological advantage. Krillin cleared his throat. As fascinating as this biology lesson is, we have more immediate concerns. Arasaka isn't going to stop hunting either of you now. And once they realize Bulma Briefs is personally involved, they'll escalate, she finished for him. I'm aware of the risk. Then you should also be aware that your corporate protection won't mean much if they decide you've crossed a line, Goku pointed out. Night City operates on a balance of power between megacorps. If Arasaka claims corporate espionage, they won't, Bulma interrupted confidently. Because officially, this project doesn't exist. Neither does this facility, she gestured around them. Everything here operates outside corporate channels, my personal research division. Goku exchanged a glance with Krillin. That doesn't make me feel better about the situation. It shouldn't, Bulma agreed. But it does give us flexibility. Arasaka can't formally accuse Capsule Corp without revealing their own illegal research. And they can't target me directly without risking intercorporate war. So they'll send Vegeta after Goku instead, Krillin concluded. Off the books. Plausible deniability. Precisely. Bulma turned to Goku. Hitch is why I'm offering you protection, and an opportunity. Goku raised an eyebrow. I'm listening. Work with me, she said, gesturing to the prototype. Help me understand how your natural ki manipulation functions. In exchange, I'll provide resources to enhance your abilities without compromising your physiology. Become your research subject, Goku translated. Become my partner, Bulma corrected firmly. I need your insights as much as your genetic material. And you need advantages that pure biological ability can't provide against opponents like Vegeta. Before Goku could respond, a proximity alert flashed across the lab's security monitors. Krillin moved to the surveillance console immediately. We've got incoming, he reported, tension evident in his voice. Unmarked vehicles. Standard corporate tactical formation. Arasaka, Bulma asked, already moving to secure the prototype. Negative, Krillin replied, surprise evident in his tone. Different signature. These are, he looked up. Concern etched on his features. Militech. Goku's eyes narrowed. The same faction that tried to intercept the transport earlier. This doesn't make sense, Bulma muttered, Finge. RS dancing across interfaces as she activated additional security protocols. Militech shouldn't have any interest in the prototype. Their key research is years behind Arasaka's. Unless they're not here for the prototype, Goku suggested. A suspicion forming. Krillin, check thermal signatures. How many hostiles? Krillin manipulated the security feed. 8 exterior, probably more in the vehicles. Wait, they're not deploying in standard assault formation. Looks more like extraction. The facility's communication system suddenly activated, an incoming transmission overriding security protocols. A female voice, distorted by electronic filtering, filled the lab. Attention Capsule Corp facility. This is Militech Special Operations. We are not hostile. Repeat. We are not hostile. Where? Here to extract an asset designated, Lucent. Authentication code. Silverhand 77 Delta. Bulma froze, recognition flashing across her face. Accept transmission, she commanded the system. The end display shifted to show a woman in tactical gear, her features obscured by a specialized helmet. Ms. Briefs. Apologies for the dramatic entrance, but we have reason to believe Arasaka forces are converging on your location. Our extraction window is limited. Who's Lucent? Goku asked quietly. Bulma ignored him, addressing the Militech operative. How did you locate this facility? Your ass. Et provided coordinates during emergency protocols. She's currently in transit to your location with critical intelligence regarding Project Uzaru. Project Uzaru, Krillin echoed, glancing at Goku. What's that? Before anyone could respond, another alert sounded, this one from the facility's rear entrance. Security cameras showed a single figure stumbling toward the building, clearly injured, but moving with desperate determination. Bulma gasped. Let her in. Override security protocols. Authorization briefs Alpha Zeta. The rear entrance cycled open. Moments later, a young woman collapsed into the lab. Blood stained her clothing, a form-fitting Netrunner suit with distinctive neural interfaces along her spine and limbs. Her pale features were contorted with pain, short black hair matted with sweat and grime. Goku moved instinctively, catching her before she hit the floor. Her eyes, enhanced with optical implants that glowed faintly blue, met his, recognition flickering despite their never having met. Saiyan, she whispered, voice barely audible. They've found the trigger. Then her eyes rolled back as consciousness fled, her slight form becoming dead weight in Goku's arms. Medical protocols, now, Bulma shouted, already rushing toward them. Militech forces taking defensive positions around the perimeter, Krillin reported from the security console. They're serious about protection, but we've got another problem. Arasaka signatures approaching from the east. ETA 3 minutes. Goku lifted the unconscious woman carefully, following Bulma's directions to a medical station concealed behind a laboratory partition. As advanced diagnostic systems activated around the injured Netrunner, he turned to Bulma, his expression demanding answers. Her name is Lucy, Bulma explained quickly. Initiating emergency medical protocols. She's been working undercover in Arasaka's cybernetics division, feeding information to Militech, and to me. A triple agent, Krill, asked incredulously from across the lab. A survivor, Bulma corrected, not looking up from the medical interface. She was part of a test group for early neural key interfaces, individuals with raw brain chemistry that allowed technological interaction with bioenergy fields. She's not Saiyan, Goku the woman's features. No, human, but her neural architecture allows her to perceive and potentially manipulate ki through technological means. Bulma's expression darkened. Arasaka's experiments were invasive. She escaped 3 years ago with Militech's help, in exchange for intelligence. Lucy's vital signs stabilized on the monitor as the medical system administered targeted treatments. Her eyes fluttered open briefly, focusing on Goku with startling intensity. They're activating Project Uzaru, she whispered, voice stronger than before, using the moon cycle to trigger transformation in captive Saiyans. Goku felt a chill run through him. The moon, or rather, specific wavelengths of reflected solar radiation, had historically triggered Saiyan transformations. Ancient records spoke of berserker states, of uncontrolled power that decimated battlefields. Modern Saiyans had evolved past the susceptibility. Their DNA diluted through generations of integration with humans. Or so they believed. How? He demanded. That trigger was bred out of our genetic line centuries ago. They've isolated the dormant gene sequence, Lucy explained, struggling to sit up despite the medical system's restraints. Found a way to reactivate it through targeted genetic therapy combined with neural implants. They're creating controllable weapons, but, she winced in pain. The control isn't perfect. Test subjects are becoming unstable. We need to move, Krillin interrupted urgently. Arasaka forces are accelerating. Militech perimeter won't hold against what they're bringing. Bulma made a quick decision. Secure the prototype. We're evacuating to secondary location. She turned to Lucy. Can you travel? The Netrunner nodded grimly, disconnecting herself from the medical systems with practiced efficiency. I've had worse. Krillin, coordinate with the Militech team for escort, Bulma continued. Already gathering essential data cores. Goku, I'll handle rear security, he finished for her, mind already calculating combat scenarios. As they prepared for evacuation, Goku found himself studying Lucy more carefully. Despite her injuries, she moved with the precise economy of someone trained for combat and infiltration. Her cybernetic enhancements, visible as subtle lines beneath her skin, suggested extensive modification, yet maintained an elegant minimalism that contrasted with the crude power of Vegeta's augmentations. She caught him watching and met his gaze without hesitation. You're the unmodified Saiyan they've been hunting. The control variable. And you're the human who can perceive ki energy, he countered. Seems we're both unusual specimens. A ghost of a smile touched her lips. Specimens. Yes, that's how they see us. She checked her personal weapons, a compact neural disruptor and a specialized netrunning deck integrated into her forearm. For what it's worth, I'm sorry they used your genetic material without consent. I tried to sabotage that aspect of the research when I discovered it. Before Goku could respond, the facility's perimeter alarms shrieked to life. On the security feeds, Militech defenders engaged the first wave of Arasaka forces, a brutal exchange of gunfire and tech-enhanced combat. Time to go, Krillin announced, tossing Goku his power staff, an extendable weapon capable of channeling ki energy that he'd left on Nimbus during his initial entry. Bulma secured the prototype in a portable containment UN. It inactivated the facility's self-destruct sequence, a gradual data purge and power overload rather than dramatic explosion. As the group moved toward the emergency exit, Lucy suddenly staggered, clutching her head. Neural interface lights along her spine flashed erratically. They're broadcasting the trigger signal, she gasped, eyes wide with alarm. City-wide pulse using the cellular network. Any Saiyan with compatible genetics or specific implants will be affected. Goku felt nothing, his minimal augmentations insufficient to receive the signal. But outside, through the security feeds, he witnessed the effects. Several Militech defenders with Saiyan heritage suddenly convulsed, eyes glowing unnaturally as their bodies began transforming, muscles bulking, features distorting into something more primal. More disturbing was their coordinated movement afterward, turning as one to focus on the facility, as if receiving identical commands. They're being controlled, Lucy confirmed, reading the data through her neural interfaces. The signal includes behavioral overrides. Basic commands only, but effective. Arasaka's testing the system, Bulma realized, horror evident in her voice. Using our situation as a field trial. On another security feed, Goku spotted Vegeta emerging from an Arasaka transport. Unlike the other Saiyans, he showed no sign of uncontrolled transformation. Instead, his cybernetic systems glowed with regulated power as he directed the assault with cold precision. He's immune, Goku noted. His enhancements must include signal filtering. Or he's the controller, Lucy suggested grimly, the command node for the network transformations. Krillin interrupted from the exit corridor. Fascinating theory. Can we discuss it while escaping? E Group moved quickly through the emergency route, a maintenance tunnel connecting to Night City's labyrinthine undercity. Goku took point, power staff extended and ready, while Krillin covered their rear. Lucy moved with surprising steadiness despite her injuries, while Bulma carried the prototype containment unit with the care one might give a priceless artifact. As they reached the tunnel junct ion that would lead to their extraction point, Lucy suddenly pulled Goku aside, her voice low and urgent. There's something you should know, she whispered, eyes darting to ensure Bulma couldn't overhear. Project Uzaru isn't just about creating weapons. There's another component. Something called Dragon Protocol. What is it? Goku asked, maintaining his vigilance even as they spoke. I don't know exactly. The files were compartmentalized beyond my access level. But it involves 7 key installations throughout Night City, each containing some kind of energy amplification device. She glanced meaningfully at the containment unit Bulma carried. Similar to that prototype, but more specialized. 7 devices, Goku echoed, the number triggering some half-remembered cultural knowledge from his childhood, stories the old man Gohan had told him about Saiyan legends. Did they have names for these installations? Lucy nodded. Code names based on stars. The files referred to them as Dragon Balls. Before Goku could process this information, the tunnel behind them exploded in a shower of concrete and metal. Through the dust and debris, a silhouette appeared, Vegeta, his augmented form illuminated by the cyber-enhanced glow of his implants. Kakarot, his voice echoed through the confined space, amplified by his vocal enhancements. Did you really think you could escape? Goku pushed Lucy toward the others. Get them to safety, he ordered Krillin, who had doubled back at the sound of the explosion. I'll handle this. Don't be stupid, Krillin hissed. That's Arasaka's top enforcer. You can't take him alone. I don't need to beat him, Goku replied, extending his power staff to full length. Just delay him. Understanding dawned in Krillin's eyes. He nodded once, then retreated to hurry the others along. Goku turned to face Vegeta, alone in the dust-filled tunnel. He channeled ki energy through his body, the amber glow intensifying around him as he prepared for combat. You're right, Vegeta, he called, voice steady despite the danger. I can't escape what I am. But neither can you. The Arasaka enforcer laughed, the sound distorted by his enhancements. I've transcended what we were. Kakarot, evolved beyond our primitive origins. He stepped forward, cybernetic arms transforming as weapon systems activated, blades extending from forearms, targeting systems glowing in modified eyes. Future of our race. Goku settled into a combat stance, power staff humming with channeled ki energy. The tunnel filled with amber and electric blue light, as natural and artificial power prepared to clash. I've seen your future, Vegeta, Goku replied calmly. And I choose something different. With that, the two Saiyans, one enhanced by the pinnacle of corporate technology, the other relying on the ancient power of his ancestors, launched themselves at each other, their collision sending shockwaves through the foundations of Night City itself. Shaw, PTER 1 End Chapter 2, Monkey King of the Combat Zone. The combat zone existed as Night City's pulsing, gangrenous heart, 40 square blocks where corporate law ended and street justice prevailed. Neon bled into darkness here, where makeshift fighting pits drew crowds hungry for violence untethered from sanitized corporate entertainment feeds. No referees, no rules, just raw combat between the augmented and desperate. Goku sat cross-legged on a rusted shipping container overlooking the largest arena, his silhouette unmistakable against the polluted night sky. 3 weeks had passed since the confrontation in the maintenance tunnel, 3 weeks of calculated appearances and strategic disappearances throughout Night City's underworld. The whispers had grown into conversations, conversations into legends. The Saiyan who fought without Chrome. The throwback who channeled forgotten energies. The warrior who had battled Arasaka's premier enforcer to a standstill. Some called him mutation, others called him evolutionary throwback. The combat zone residents had their own name for him. Monkey King. He closed his eyes, filtering out the cacophony below, spectators shouting odds, fighters grunting through exertion, implants whirring with artificial power. Instead, he focused on the subtle energy patterns flowing through his body. Ki energy responded to consciousness, to will. Understand. That connection had kept him alive against Vegeta. Barely. Meditating before a fight. That's old school. Goku opened his eyes to find a mountain of a man standing on the catwalk beside his perch. Todd, self-proclaimed warlord of the combat zone's eastern quarter, watched him with the practiced assessment of someone who had survived countless battles. Military-grade cybernetic arms gleamed dully in the neon light, their carbon fiber musculature suggesting strength that could crush concrete. Old techniques endure for a reason, Goku replied, unfolding from his position with fluid grace. Looking for another demonstration. Todd's augmented jaw clenched at the reminder of their previous encounter, a brief but decisive confrontation that had established Goku's reputation in the combat zone. The warlord had lost face but gained perspective. Not tonight. Tonight I'm looking to profit from your peculiar talents. He gestured toward the fighting pit below. Main events drawn serious attention. Corporate scouts embedded in the crowd. Talent hunters. Goku raised an eyebrow. I'm not interested in corporate contracts. Neither are they. Not the usual kind, anyway. Todd leaned against the railing. Reinforced metal groaning under his enhanced weight. Word is they're looking for unmodified combat specimens. Naturals with exceptional ability. Specimens, Goku echoed, the word carrying unfortunate resonance after Lucis' revelations about Arasaka's experiments. You mean lab rats? Todd shrugged massive shoulders. I mean eddies in your account, monkey man. Big ones. These core are offering collection bonuses for anyone who can direct them to fighters with your particular attributes. And you're warning me out of kindness. The warlord's laugh rumbled like distant artillery. I'm warning you because dead fighters don't draw crowds to my territory. And because, he hesitated, cybernetic eyes recalibrating. Because what happened 3 weeks ago has some of us thinking about alternatives. Before Goku could respond, the crowd below erupted as 2 fighters entered the pit, a heavily augmented solo with military-grade reflexes facing a woman who's on. Lee visible enhancements were subtle dermal weaves beneath olive skin. The contrast immediately drew Goku's attention. Your next opponent, Todd confirmed, noting his interest. Calls herself Chi-Chi. Showed up last week demanding pit time. No combat record in the system, but she's cleared 3 matches without breaking a sweat. Goku studied her movement as she performed preliminary stretches. While her opponent's gestures carried the telltale precision of machine-assisted motion, hers flowed with organic rhythm, each position bleeding into the next with practiced perfection. Traditional martial arts training, not programmed combat routines. Who is she? He asked quietly. Claims to represent Ox Kingdom Holdings. Todd's expression suggested skepticism. Old money syndicate from before the corporate wars. Most thought they were extinct. The name triggered recognition. Ox Kingdom, one of the traditional crime families that had managed to maintain independence through Night City's corporate consolidation. They operated outside standard networks, preserving ancient practices while adapting to modern realities. Below, the fight began. The augmented solo launched himself with pneumatic assistance. Cybernetic limbs blurring with unnatural speed. Chi-Chi remained perfectly still until the last possible moment, then moved with breathtaking efficiency, redirecting her opponent's momentum while simultaneously striking 3 precise points on his enhanced frame. The solo collapsed in a heap of suddenly unresponsive chrome, neural pathways temporarily disrupted by what appeared to be simple pressure point techniques. The crowd fell silent, then erupted with renewed intensity. Even Todd seemed impressed. Pressure points shouldn't work on augmented nervous systems, he muttered. That's some next-level shit. Goku nodded, his interest deepening. Chi-Chi hadn't simply defeated her opponent, she had systematically neutralized his technological advantages using traditional knowledge. Knowledge that, like Saiyan key manipulation, survived primarily in cultural fragments rather than corporate databases. As she exited the pit, her gaze swept the crowd and settled directly on Goku's elevated position. Even from a distance, he could see the challenge in her eyes, direct, uncompromising, fearless. Looks like you've been noticed, Todd observed dryly. Looks like it, Goku agreed, rising to his feet. Think I'll introduce myself before the main event. Todd extended a massive cybernetic hand, surprisingly formal. Watch yourself, Monkey King. Old world syndicates play by different rules. And something tells me that one isn't just looking for pit glory. Goku clasped the offered hand briefly. Thanks for the warning. I'll keep my guard up. As he descended toward the fighting pits, Goku maintained situational awareness, a necessity in the combat zone, where reputation attracted both opportunity and danger. His senses extended beyond normal human parameters, key energy enhancing his perception of the environment. He detected the subtle electromagnetic signatures of concealed weapons, the chemical markers of combat drugs, the micro-expressions that betrayed hostile intent. And something else. Observation patterns too systematic for typical spectators. Corporate scouts, as Todd had warned. Watching, assessing, reporting. Chi-Chi awaited him at the edge of the central pit, toweling sweat from her face with practiced efficiency. Up close, he could see that what had appeared to be simple dermal weaving was actually an intricate network of traditional Shailan-style subdermal tattooing, microscopic circuitry integrated with organic pigmentation rather than crude chrome implantation. The famous Monkey King, she said without preamble, voice carrying the cultured intonation of old-world education rather than street slang. Less impressive in person. Goku smiled, recognizing the deliberate provocation for what it was. Assess. Impressive enough to have caught your attention. Apparently. My father's attention, she corrected, dark eyes evaluating him with clinical precision. Ox Kingdom has been monitoring your activities since your confrontation with Arasaka's pet Saiyan. Your father being the Ox King. She said it as if the name should carry immediate significance. Perhaps in certain circles, it did. He believes an alliance might be mutually beneficial. Given recent corporate interest in Saiyan genetics. Goku maintained his casual posture, but his senses heightened. I'm not looking for entanglements with crime syndicates. No offense. We prefer traditional business consortium, Chi-Chi replied with the faintest hint of amusement. And you misunderstand. This isn't a recruitment pitch. It's a warning. Before she could elaborate, The arena announcer's voice boomed through distorted speakers, calling for the main event competitors. Chi-Chi glanced toward the pit, then back to Goku. "After your victory," she said with absolute certainty, "we'll continue this conversation. My father's people will arrange transport." "Pretty confident about my chances," Goku observed. Chi-Chi's expression remained impassive. "I've studied your movement patterns. Your opponent relies too heavily on predictive combat algorithms. Against true instinct, they're useless." With that assessment, she turned and walked away, leaving Goku to consider the implications of her presence, and her father's interest. The Ox Kingdom operated through ancient tradition rather than corporate efficiency, maintaining power through knowledge preserved outside digital networks. If they were reaching out now, it suggested the situation with Arasaka had broader implications than even Bulma had indicated. The crowd's roar drew his attention back to the present moment. His opponent had entered the pit, a fighter whose reputation in the combat zone approached mythic status. Tall and lean, with military-grade reflexes and custom-designed combat implants. The woman known only as Launch had accumulated a body count that kept even hardened zone dwellers at a respectful distance. What made her particularly dangerous was her unpredictability. Rumors suggested experimental neural modifications had created two distinct combat personalities that switched without warning, one calculating and precise, the other berserker wild and brutally effective. Tonight, she appeared in her calmer blue-haired incarnation, movements measured as she acknowledged the crowd's adulation. But the gleam in her eyes suggested violence held temporary. Li in check, a predator assessing new prey. Goku entered the pit with less theatrical flair, his simple attire, reinforced combat pants and a sleeveless compression shirt, contrasting with Launch's elaborate chrome-integrated bodysuit. He carried no visible weapons, while specialized combat systems protruded from her forearms and shoulders. The announcer played up the disparity to inflame the crowd. "In this corner, our reigning undefeated champion, the woman of your dreams and nightmares, the split personality of pain. Launch." The crowd's response bordered on religious fervor, credits transferring through betting systems as odds fluctuated on floating AR displays. "And challenging our champion, the mysterious throwback, the chrome-free anomaly, the Monkey King." Mixed reaction greeted his introduction, some cheering the novelty, others jeering what they perceived as technological inferiority. Goku ignored the spectacle, focusing instead on his opponent's biomechanical signature. Beneath the obvious combat enhancements, he detected unusual neural patterns, energy fluctuations suggesting internal instability. The pit master, a heavily augmented veteran missing half his organic components, stepped between them. Traditional combat zone formalities oddly ceremonial within the otherwise lawless environment. Standard rules, he rasped through damaged vocal processors. Match ends with submission, unconsciousness, or death. No outside interference. No restricted substances after commencement. He glanced between them. "Any pre-fight declarations?" Launch smiled, the expression not reaching her eyes. "Just wondering if monkeys bruise the same as chrome jockeys." "Guess you'll find out," Goku replied evenly. The pit master retreated, a pneumatic horn signaling the match beginning. Launch moved immediately, combat systems engaging with electric blue activation signatures as targeting algorithms calculated optimal attack vectors. Goku remained perfectly still, monitoring her approach through enhanced senses. As her first strike launched, a cybernetically accelerated punch capable of shattering concrete, he simply wasn't there when it connected. Not dodging, not blocking, simply occupying a different space than her systems had predicted. The crowd's collective intake of breath acknowledged the impossibility of such movement without reflex enhancers. Launch recovered instantly. Combat routines recalibrating as she launched a secondary attack sequence, a combination of strikes designed to eliminate potential evasion patterns. Again, Goku moved with fluid economy, each motion containing no wasted energy. Where Launch's augmented combat relied on overwhelming speed and calculated precision, his response embodied perfect efficiency, the difference between programmed routines and intuitive mastery. "Stop dancing," Launch growled, frustration bleeding into her voice as repeated attacks found only empty air. "Fight me." Goku sidestepped another augmented strike. "I'm assessing your capabilities." Quote, "Assess this." Launch's eyes suddenly flared as combat drugs flooded her system, a chemical trigger that activated her secondary personality. Her blue hair seemed to lighten before the spectators' eyes, shifting toward blonde as her neural patterns reorganized into a more aggressive configuration. Her next attack abandoned calculated precision for raw destructive potential. Pneumatic enhancers propelled her forward with explosive force, combat systems deploying serrated blades along her forearms. The change happened so quickly that most opponents would have been caught unprepared for the radical shift in tactics. Goku had been waiting for it. As Launch committed fully to her berserker assault, Goku finally counterattacked. He channeled ki energy through his body, amber light manifesting along his limbs as he met her charge directly. Instead of evading, he redirected, his palm connecting with her augmented forearm at precisely the correct angle. To convert her momentum into circular motion. The maneuver sent Launch spinning past her intended target, her enhanced reflexes struggling to compensate for the unexpected redirection. Before she could recover, Goku delivered a precisely calibrated strike to her lower back, directly over the central neural processor that coordinated her combat enhancements. Launch staggered, systems momentarily disrupted. The crowd's noise receded as spectators collectively recognized the significance. An unaugmented fighter had just neutralized cutting-edge combat tech with what appeared to be a simple hand strike. What the hell was that? Launch demanded, blonde hair falling across face now transformed by rage. Some kind of EMP trick? No trick, Goku replied calmly. Just energy applied correctly. Launch's eyes narrowed, combat analytics reassessing threat levels. Energy, let's see how it handles this. She activated her heaviest augmentation, a shoulder-mounted micro-missile system assigned for military applications rather than pit fighting. The weapon unfolded with mechanical precision, targeting systems locking onto Goku's heat signature. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Such weaponry violated combat zone conventions, not through any ethical concern, but because it endangered spectators and infrastructure alike. The pit master stepped forward to intervene, but too late. Launch had already triggered the firing sequence, explosive projectiles launching toward Goku NT. Time seemed to slow as Goku centered himself, ki energy flowing through his system with heightened intensity. As the missiles approached, he extended both hands, palms facing the oncoming projectiles. Amber energy coalesced around his fingers, then expanded outward in a concentrated wave. The missiles detonated prematurely, their explosive force contained within a spherical energy field that Goku maintained through focused will. The concussion rattled the pit's foundations, but the DLY shrapnel remained captured within his ki barrier. With a controlled exhalation, Goku dissipated the energy field, allowing harmless ash to scatter across the arena floor. The silence that followed was absolute, hundreds of witnesses trying to process what they had just observed. Launch stared at him, blonde hair disheveled, combat analysis systems returning impossible readings. What are you? Just someone who never forgot the old ways, Goku answered, his stance relaxing slightly. Your move, Launch. Something shifted in her expression, calculation replacing rage as her original personality reasserted control. Blue slowly reclaiming her hair. She straightened, combat systems powering down to standby mode. I know when I'm outmatched, she declared, loud enough for the crowd to hear. The Monkey King takes this round. The pit master approached cautiously, still processing the missile containment he had witnessed. Launch concedes. Victory to the Monkey King. The Crowd's reaction transcended typical combat zone enthusiasm, transforming into something approaching religious awe. Spectators who had wagered against the unaugmented fighter cursed their losses, while those who had backed him collected substantial payouts. But beyond the financial transactions, a more significant shift occurred, perception changing as they confronted capabilities outside their technological understanding. As Goku and Launch exited the pit, an odd camaraderie formed between them, the respective warriors who had taken each other's measure. That energy manipulation, Launch said quietly. Blue hair now fully restored as her calmer persona dominated. It's not tech-based at all, is it? No, Goku confirmed, matching her subdued tone. It's called ki, life energy channeled through training and focus. Like the old legends, Launch's eyes reflected genuine curiosity now rather than combat assessment. Before the Chrome Revolution, There were stories about fighters who could manipulate internal energy. Most people consider them myths now. Most myths contain truth at their core. Launch considered this as they navigated through the dispersing crowd. Those corporate scouts watching you, they're not just talent hunters. They're looking for research subjects. I know. Then you should also know they approached me after my second personality manifestation was documented. Her expression darkened with remembered trauma. The experiments weren't pleasant. Goku studied her more carefully, recognizing the implications. Your condition, it's not just experimental cyberware, is it? They were trying to replicate something natural. Bingo. Launch tapped her temple, where neural interface scars formed a distinctive pattern. Apparently, I have a rare genetic C marker that allows for complete personality partition. The Corps wanted to weaponize it, create soldiers with specialized combat personas that could be triggered on command. Like what Arasaka is tempting with Saiyan transformation sequences, Goku concluded, connections forming. Launch nodded. Exactly like that. Different approach, same objective, controllable combat assets that exceed normal human capabilities. She glanced around, suddenly wary. Listen, I don't usually play well with others, but something big is happening in Night City. The Corps are hunting genetic outliers like never before. I've noticed. Then you should also notice you've got company waiting. Launch nodded toward the pit exit, where three figures stood observing their conversation. Looks like you're Vict. Ori attracted exactly the attention you didn't want. Goku had already sensed their presence. Two corporate security types flanking a central figure whose cybernetic signature radiated controlled power. Even at this distance, he recognized the distinctive flame-like hair. Vegeta, thanks for the heads up, Goku said, genuine appreciation in his voice. We should talk more sometime. Launch smiled, the expression surprisingly gentle on features designed for combat. Find me at the afterlife if you survive your admirer. I might have information worth trading. With that, she disappeared into the combat zone crowd. Her combat systems reconfiguring into less conspicuous configurations, street camouflage rather than battle mode. Goku approached the exit with measured steps, assessing options. Direct confrontation with Vegeta in the crowded combat zone risked civilian casualties. Retreat would only postpone the inevitable. That left diplomacy, an approach that felt foreign when facing Arasaka's premier enforcer. As he drew closer, Goku noticed something unexpected. Vegeta wasn't wearing Arasaka colors. His attire, still expensively tailored to accommodate extensive augmentation, lacked corporate insignia. The security types flanking him wore subtle Capsule Corp identification. Impressive display, Kakarot, Vegeta called, using Goku's Saiyan designation with deliberate emphasis. Quote, though hardly worth the reputation you've cultivated. Goku stopped at a calculated distance. Close enough for conversation, far enough for reaction time if necessary. Didn't realize Arasaka's attack dog attended combat zone matches. Slumming, Vegeta, the enhanced Saiyan's expression tightened momentarily before settling into practiced neutrality. Circumstances change. Affiliations evolve. Meaning we should discuss mutual interests in a more appropriate venue. Vegeta gestured toward a waiting vehicle, high-end corporate transport with Capsule Corp markings. Your blue-haired benefactor sends her regards. Goku's eyes narrowed at the mention of Bulma. Last time we met, you tried to kill me. Now you're playing messenger boy. A dangerous gleam entered Vegeta's augmented eyes. I could demonstrate how little has changed regarding my combat objectives, if you prefer. But it would be inconvenient for Ms. Brief's timeline. Before Goku could respond, his secure comm Anel activated. A priority signal from a limited access system that only 3 people could access. Bulma's voice came through with unusual clarity. He's telling the truth, Goku. At least about the invitation. We need to talk. All of us. Vegeta included. The communication ended without further explanation, leaving Goku to reassess the situation. If Bulma had somehow recruited Arasaka's enforcer, or more likely, arranged some temporary truce, it suggested developments beyond his current understanding. Fine, he said finally. But I travel separately. Send me the coordinates. Vegeta smirked, the expression emphasizing his predatory modifications. Still untrusting. At least that shows minimal intelligence. He turned toward the waiting vehicle, then paused. Your combat zone exhibition attracted precisely the attention you should be avoiding, Kakarot. Corporate talent scouts are already distributing your biometric data through restricted channels. Worried about the competition? Goku asked. Worried that your reckless behavior compromises larger objectives. Vegeta's tone shifted slightly, artificial harmonics suggesting genuine concern beneath practiced arrogance. Project Uzaru has entered its next phase. That display of energy manipulation marked you as primary acquisition target. With that cryptic warning, Vegeta departed, capsule security falling into formation A. Round him as they navigated through the combat zone crowd, respected even in this lawless territory due to the visible power they represented. Goku remained motionless, processing the implications of Vegeta's appearance and warning. On his secure channel moments later, a location in Night City's north side, within Capsule Corp's unofficial territory but outside their main corporate zone. As he contemplated his next move, a new presence approached from behind, silent but detectable through the distinctive energy pattern of traditional subdermal enhancements. Your demonstration exceeded expectations, Chi-Chi said without preamble. Glad I could entertain, Goku replied without turning. Entertainment wasn't the objective. She moved beside him, watching Vegeta's departure with clinical interest. Assessment was, as was drawing specific attention. Goku turned to face her fully. You used me as bait. I used your existing profile to accelerate certain timelines, she corrected without apology. The Ox Kingdom has monitored Project Uzaru since its inception. Your confrontation with Arasaka's enforcer created opportunity for advanced countermeasures. And now Vegeta's apparently working with Capsule Corp. Goku gestured toward the departing vehicle. Which complicates whatever game you're playing. Chi-Chi's expression remained impassive, but her energy signature fluctuated. You waited slightly, surprise beneath controlled exterior. That development wasn't anticipated. Interesting. Interesting isn't the word I'd choose. Goku studied her more carefully, noting the precision of her posture and the disciplined control of her internal energy, different from Saiyan ki manipulation but following similar principles. What does your father actually want from me? Protection, she answered simply. And alliance against common enemies. I work alone, a luxury you can no longer afford. Chi-Chi nodded toward the combat zone around them. Your demonstration tonight confirmed what Arasaka already suspected, that unaugmented Saiyan abilities can be developed beyond their current understanding. You've made yourself the most valuable research subject in Night City. I can handle myself. Against Vegeta, perhaps. Barely. Her assessment carried clinical detachment rather than insult. Against coordinated corporate extraction teams targeting your specific biological signature. Against weaponized Saiyan test subjects already deployed into Night City's underground. Against the full resources of multiple megacorps pursuing the same genetic material. The question hung between them, its implications expanding beyond Goku's current operational parameters. Chi-Chi was right, his independent status had become increasingly untenable as corporate interest intensified. But alliance brought its own complications, its own vulnerabilities. Your father's compound, he said finally. It's secure against corporate surveillance. The Ox Kingdom maintains traditions predating digital networks. Chi-Chi confirmed. Our security combines ancient methods with modern countermeasures. Corporate scanning technology cannot penetrate our primary defenses. And what would this alliance entail, exactly? Information exchange, shared resources, mutual protection. She hesitated briefly. And access to historical records regarding Saiyan biology that exist nowhere else in Night City. That caught Goku's attention. His knowledge of Saiyan heritage came primarily from fragmented cultural transmission, stories passed down by his adoptive grandfather Gohan, who studied with Saiyan elders before corporate consolidation had scattered traditional communities. What kind of records? Training methodologies from before the Chrome Revolution. Techniques for maximizing natural ki potential without technological augmentation. Chi-Chi's expression softened slightly. My father's collection includes manuscripts rescued during the corporate purge of cultural archives. The offer was significant. Such knowledge represented not just tactical advantage but cultural preservation, connection to a heritage systematically erased by corporate restructuring of society. I need to check on something first, Goku decided, Bulma's coordinates still waiting in his secure channel. But I'll consider your offer. Chi-Chi nodded, apparently satisfied with this response. Transport will remain available at the northern checkpoint. The invitation has no expiration. As she turned to leave, Goku added, "That pressure point technique you used against the augmented fighter. It shouldn't have worked on cybernetic nervous systems." A ghost of a smile touched Chi-Chi's lips. Traditional knowledge often contains solutions to modern problems. Something we have in common, Monkey King. With that, she departed, moving through the combat zone with the confident grace of someone who feared neither technological superiority nor numerical disadvantage. Goku activated his secure channel, contacting Krillin for updated intelligence before proceeding to Bulma's coordinates. His handler responded immediately, voice carrying the distorted harmonics of active electronic countermeasures. "About time you checked in," Krillin grumbled. "Been watching your combat zone performance through secondary feeds. Subtle, you're not." "Wasn't trying for subtle," Goku replied, already moving toward his concealed transportation. "Got offered 3 different alliances in the span of 20 minutes. Seems I'm popular tonight." "Yeah, well, popularity in Night City usually leads to abbreviated life expectancy." Krillin's concern carried through the encrypted connection. "Vegeta's appearance is particularly worrying. Our blue-haired friend must be playing a dangerous game. That's what I intend to find out." Goku reached the hidden maintenance access where he had secured Nimbus, the customized motorcycle responding to his proximity with subtle activation tones. "What about our Netrunner friend? Any update on her condition?" "Lucis recovered from the worst of her injuries," Krillin confirmed. "Been helping Bulma analyze the data she extracted from Arasaka's systems. That's probably why they've called this meeting. Must have found something significant. Significant enough to bring Vegeta into their confidence." "That's the part that doesn't compute," Krillin admitted. "Last intel had him firmly embedded in Arasaka's enhancement program. For him to suddenly cooperate with Capsule Corp suggests either defection or deep cover operation. Or third optio. Bulma has something Vegeta wants badly enough to temporarily align interests. Like access to unmodified Saiyan research data," Krillin concluded. "Which means you're walking into a situation you're potentially the prize everyone's competing for." Goku mounted Nimbus, the motorcycle's systems interfacing with his minimal implants. "Wouldn't be the first time." "No, but it might be the most dangerous. Watch yourself, monkey boy." Corporate politics make combat zone rules look straightforward by comparison. The connection terminated as Goku guided Nimbus out of the maintenance access and onto Night City's rain-slicked streets. The customized vehicle moved with unnatural silence, its specialized engine modifications allowing for stealth operation when necessary. As he navigated through the urban landscape, Goku maintained heightened awareness, both physical and energetic. The Combat Zone exhibition had accomplished its purpose, establishing his capabilities publicly enough to attract specific attention. But it had also exposed him to broader surveillance, potentially accelerating corporate timetables beyond his current intelligence. The coordinates Bulma had provided led to an unremarkable residential structure in Night City's middle tier, neither corporate luxury nor urban squalor. The building's exterior suggested modest prosperity, its security systems visible but not ostentatious. Perfect camouflage for a clandestine meeting point. Goku parked Nimbus in a concealed service alcove, activating the motorcycle's defensive protocols before approaching the building on foot. His enhanced senses detected multiple security layers, some visible, others concealed beneath architectural elements. Capsule Corp methodology, but with custom modificma's personal touch. Entrance scanner identified his minimal implant signature, security systems disengaging with subtle efficiency. As the door opened, Goku found himself facing not security personnel but Lucy, the netter, under whose dramatic arrival had precipitated recent events. She had recovered significantly since their last encounter. Her pale features carried more color, and the neural interface lines along her visible skin pulsed with healthy regularity. She wore practical attire, reinforced tactical clothing modified for maximum interface with her cybernetic systems, but had abandoned the full netrunning suit for something less restrictive. "You're late," she observed, stepping aside to allow his entry. "Vegeta arrived 20 minutes ago. Had additional conversations after the exhibition," Goku explained, noting the subtle security systems tracking his movement through the entryway. "Seems have become popular." Corporate interest in unmodified genetic templates has accelerated, Lucy confirmed, leading him through a minimalist corridor toward the building's core. Your combat zone performance triggered bidding wars in certain circles. Wasn't my intention. Lucy glanced back, expression unreadable behind subtle optical enhancements. Intentions rarely matter in Night City. Results do. She hesitated briefly. For what it's worth, your energy containment technique was impressive. Most T-augmented fighters couldn't have neutralized that missile system so effectively. Thanks, Goku replied, genuine appreciation in his voice. How's your recovery progressing? Functional capacity at 87%. She answered with the precision of someone accustomed to quantifying bodily status. Neural pathway reconstruction continues at acceptable rates. The clinical response CAR. Read uncomfortable implications about her extensive cybernetic modification. Lucis integration with technology transcended typical enhancement, suggesting experimental procedures rather than standard augmentation. Before Goku could inquire further, they reached the building's central chamber, a converted residential space transformed into impromptu command center. Holographic displays projected data across specialized interfaces, while security systems maintained constant environmental monitoring. Bulma stood at the primary console, engaged in animated discussion with the last person Goku expected to see in cooperative dialogue, Vegeta. The Arasaka Enforcer's enhanced frame towered over her smaller form, yet his posture suggested something approaching respect rather than intimidation. Ilan monitored secondary systems nearby, his compact form belying the extensive combat enhancements concealed beneath unassuming exterior. He acknowledged Goku's arrival with a subtle nod, eyes conveying caution without words. Finally, Bulma declared, breaking off her conversation with Vegeta as Goku entered. Our primary asset arrives. Asset, Goku repeated, the term carrying unfortunate corporate connotations. Bulma winced slightly, recognizing her error. Poor choice of words. Ali would be more accurate. Assuming we share objectives, Goku countered, gaze shifting between her and Vegeta. Which brings us to the obvious question, why is Arasaka's enforcer participating in this meeting? Vegeta's augmented features arranged themselves into something approaching amusement. Former enforcer, Kakarot, circumstances have evolved since our last encounter. Meaning Vegeta has temporarily aligned his interests with ours, Bulma interjected, moving to a central holographic display. After reviewing Lucis extracted data regarding Project Uzaru, certain facts became evident that transcend corporate loyalty. Lucy activated the main display system, Complex DAT, a structure's materializing in three-dimensional projection. Arasaka's experimentation has progressed beyond ethical parameters acknowledged even by corporate standards. The project's ultimate objective isn't merely creating enhanced combat assets, it's fundamental alteration of Saiyan genetic structures to enable complete external control. Transformation sequences triggered by remote command, Vegeta elaborated, his enhanced voice carrying unusual tension. Behavioral conditioning embedded at the chromosomal level. Extinction of independent will. The implications settled heavily in the room's atmosphere. Corporate exploitation of Saiyan abilities had existed for generations, but this represented something more fundamental, erasure of what defined their species beyond physical capability. Why would that concern you? Goku asked Vegeta directly. You've embraced every enhancement Arasaka offered. Surrendered traditional techniques for technological supremacy. Something dangerous flashed across Vegeta's augmented features, pride beneath corporate conditioning. Enhancement differs from subjugation, Kakarot. I chose each modification, each amplification, to exceed natural limitations. Project Uzaru in its current form eliminates choice entirely. He discovered his own genetic material was being utilized without consent, Bulma added, monitoring Vegeta's reaction carefully. Including experimental procedures performed while he was in maintenance cycle. They harvested transformation triggers from my DNA while I was unconscious, Vegeta confirmed, artificial harmonics. Suggesting suppressed rage beneath controlled exterior. Then attempted to implement control sequences that would have rendered me nothing more than programmable weapon. Goku absorbed this information, reassessing the enhanced Saiyan's presence. If Vegeta had indeed broken from Arasaka control, however temporarily, it suggested the corporation's actions had crossed boundaries even their premier enforcer couldn't accept. That explains your involvement, Goku acknowledged, turning to Bulma. But not why you've called this particular meeting. What's changed? Bulma exchanged glances with Lucy, some unspoken communication passing between them before she responded. Two developments. First, Lucy's deeper analysis of the extracted data revealed Project Uzaru's connection to something called Dragon Protocol, a larger initiative involving 7 specialized research installations throughout Night City. Dragon Balls, Goku said quietly, the term Lucy had mentioned during their escape now contextualized. Precisely. Bulma confirmed. Each installation contains a specialized energy amplification device calibrated to specific wavelengths. When activated in sequence, they theoretically create a city-wide field capable of triggering controlled transformation in any individual with compatible Saiyan genetics. Mass control of transformed Saiyans, Krillin concluded grimly. Corporate warfare just got a lot more terrifying. Except the protocol isn't limited to Saiyan subjects, Lucy added, manipulating the holographic display to reveal additional data structures. My analysis indicates compatible genetic markers exist in approximately 3% of Night City's population, individuals with distant Saiyan ancestry diluted through generations of interbreeding. 3% doesn't sound significant, Krillin observed. 3% equals approximately 300,000 potential subjects, Vegeta countered. More than sufficient for Arasaka's objectives. The scale of the threat expanded beyond personal concerns, reaching towards citywide catastrophe. If Arasaka could trigger controlled transformation in hundreds of thousands of unwitting citizens carrying fragmentary Saiyan genetics, the resulting chaos would reshape Night City's power structure overnight. You mentioned 2 developments, Goku reminded Bulma, focusing on immediate priorities rather than apocalyptic possibilities. Yes. Bulma's expression shifted towards something approaching excitement despite the circumstances. While analyzing the prototype we recovered, I discovered something unexpected. A resonance pattern that corresponds directly to your specific key manipulation technique. She activate, showing comparative energy signatures, one from laboratory measurements, the other from recorded footage of Goku's combat exhibitions. The harmony is remarkable, she continued. Your natural energy patterns align with the theoretical model our research predicted but couldn't artificially reproduce. It suggests potential applications beyond Arasaka's military focus, technology that responds to intention rather than direct interface. Technology that could potentially counter the Dragon Protocol, Lucy added. If properly developed and deployed. Goku studied the comparative displays, recognition dawning. That's why you need me specifically. My unmodified key manipulation provides template for counter-technology. Precisely, Bulma confirmed. With your cooperation, we could potentially develop defenses against Arasaka's transformation triggers, protection for T-Hos with Saiyan genetic markers who would otherwise become unwilling weapons. And the catch? Goku asked, experience having taught him that corporate assistance always carried hidden costs. Bulma hesitated, glancing toward Vegeta before responding. The development process would require extensive analysis of your key manipulation techniques. Biological sampling, training regimens to quantify energy output under varying conditions. You want me to become a research subject, Goku translated. Just with better accommodations than Arasaka would provide. I want you to become a partner in creating protection against corporate exploitation of your heritage, Bulma countered, genuine passion entering her voice. There's a fundamental difference, Goku. Before he could respond, Lucy rejected. There's something else you should consider. The most recent data suggests Arasaka has already identified primary acquisition targets throughout Night City, individuals with specific genetic markers that make them optimal subjects for Project Uzaru. She manipulated the holographic display, revealing a list of biometric identifiers with accompanying surveillance data. Most names were unfamiliar, but certain entries triggered immediate recognition, individuals whose distinctive abilities had drawn corporate attention. Launch appeared among them, her dual personality manifestation note. D is compatible with bifurcated control protocols. Chi-Chi's data appeared with notation regarding traditional enhancement methodologies requiring further study. And at the top of the list, Mark D is primary acquisition target with maximum resource allocation, was a familiar designation. Subject, Kakarot Goku, unmodified Saiyan template, priority 1. They've authorized any means necessary for your acquisition. Lucy explained quietly, including civilian collateral if required. The implications settled heavily. Goku's independence had always carried risk, but the escalation to authorized collateral damage meant anyone associated with him now faced potential targeting. How long before they implement the Dragon Protocol? He asked, focus shifting toward practical timeline. Based on current development trajectories, between 3 and 6 weeks, Lucy answered. The system requires final calibration using data they don't yet possess. Data they believe you can provide, Vegeta added. Artificial harmonics emphasizing his words. Your unmodified key manipulation represents the missing component in their sequencing. Goku absorbed this information, weighing options against increasingly limited timeframes. Working with Bulma offered resources and protection, but potentially compromised his operational independence. Refusing cooperation meant maintaining freedom, at the cost of broader vulnerability, both personal and for others targeted by Arasaka's expanding program. If I agree to partner with Capsule Corp, he said finally, I maintain operational autonomy. No corporate handlers, no restricted movement. Agreed, Bulma responded immediately. We need your willing participation for optimal results. And I'll need access to whatever data you've led on traditional Saiyan abilities, including transformation control techniques. This request drew a sharp glance from Vegeta, whose enhanced features suggested surprise at Goku's specific knowledge. That information is limited, Bulma cautioned. Most historical records were purged during corporate consolidation of cultural archives. Then I'll need access to alternative sources, Goku continued. The Ox Kingdom maintains preserved manuscripts regarding pre-augmentation training methodologies. Now it was Bulma's turn to register surprise. You've had contact with the Ox Syndicate. Recent communication, Goku confirmed. Their representative mentioned historical records that might prove relevant to our current situation. Krillin whistled softly. Old world crime families and corporate research divisions working together. Night City really is approaching apocalypse. Strategic alliance, not integration, Goku clarified. Each entity maintains separate operational parameters while sharing specific resources. Spoken like a true corporate negotiator, Bulma observed with faint amusement. Perhaps you've absorbed more of Night City's culture than you realize. Before Goku could respond, the facility's security systems activated, proximity alerts indicating approaching vehicles with military-grade shielding. Lucy moved to the surveillance console immediately, her neural interfaces connecting directly with security protocols. Arasaka tactical team, she reported, tension evident despite her controlled exterior. Full extraction configuration with medical support units. They tracked me here, Vegeta concluded grimly, cybernetic systems activating combat protocols automatically. My defection has been confirmed. Or they tracked Goku from the combat zone, Krillin suggested. Already moving toward defensive positions. His exhibition wasn't exactly low profile. Tactical approach suggests specific target acquisition rather than general raid, Lucy countered. Neural interfaces processing incoming data with inhuman speed. Primary vehicle contains specialized containment systems consistent with Saiyan transport protocols. They're coming for both of you, Bulma realized. Already activating emergency countermeasures. This facility was designed for research, notwithstanding military assault. Goku assessed the situation with combat-honed clarity. The confined space offered limited tactical options against corporate military forces. Defending this position would endanger everyone present while providing minimal strategic advantage. We need to split up, he decided. Divide their resources by creating multiple extraction targets. Agreed, Vegeta responded immediately, combat subroutines already calculating optimal routes. Separate exit vectors, predetermined rendezvous after confirming clean movement. Despite their previous antagonism, both Saiyans recognized the tactical necessity of cooperation against superior numbers. Years of combat experience, one through natural development, the other through programmed enhancement, converged on identical strategic assessment. Lucy and I will secure the research data and prototype, Bulma declared. Already initiating emergency backup protocols. Krillin can coordinate extraction through Capsule Corp's secondary channels. Negative, Goku countered. Krillin accompanies you for additional security. I move independently. And I create primary distraction, Vegeta added, cybernetic systems reaching full combat readiness with electric blue activation signatures. Arasaka will prioritize recapturing their premier enforcer over secondary objectives. Lucy manipulated the building's security systems, creating a tactical display of approaching forces. 12 combat operatives in standard formation. 2 specialized containment units with medical support. Aerial surveillance active but currently restricted by architectural interference. Optimal exit vectors calculated, Vegeta announced. Enhanced vision displaying trajectory Anna his augmented perception. Eastern Maintenance Corridor provides maximum concealment for non-combatants. Rooftop extraction viable for secondary team. Primary distraction most effective through main entrance with immediate engagement. The tactical assessment matched Goku's own conclusions, despite their differing approaches to combat analysis. He nodded agreement, already moving toward his designated exit route. Rendezvous at secondary location in 6 hours, Bulma instructed, securing essential research components in specialized containment units. Assuming clean extraction for all parties. And if extraction isn't clean? Krillin asked, the question carrying implications beyond immediate tactical concerns. Then priority shifts to data preservation rather than personnel recovery, Vegeta answered with cold precision. The prototype and research data cannot fall into Arasaka's possession under any circumstances. Understood, Lucy confirmed, her Netrunner training evident in the clinical acceptance of operational priorities. As the group prepared for separate departures, Goku found himself briefly alone. Ith Bulma, her focused efficiency momentarily softening as she secured the prototype containment unit. This partnership, she said quietly, it's not just about technology or corporate advantage. The Dragon Protocol represents existential threat to what remains of Saiyan cultural identity. If Arasaka succeeds, they won't, Goku interrupted with quiet certainty. Whatever our differences regarding methods, we share that objective. Something shifted in Bulma's expression, professional detachment yielding to genuine concern. Be careful, Goku, your value to this effort transcends data points and energy signatures. The moment passed quickly as tactical necessity reasserted priority. Lucy approached with final security updates, neural interfaces processing incoming surveillance data with inhuman efficiency. Arasaka forces deploying containment specialists, she reported. Tactical team includes at least 2 enhanced subjects with partial transformation signatures active. Project Uzaru test subjects, Vegeta confirmed grimly. First-generation prototypes with limited control parameters but significant combat potential. Can you counter their enhancement protocols? Goku asked Lucy directly. The Netrunner's eyes flickered with interface activity as she accessed specialized systems. Partially. I can disrupt command signals temporarily but not prevent transformation once initiated. Their neural architecture includes redundant control pathways specifically designed to resist external interference. Focus on disrupting tactical coordination rather than individual units, Goku advised. Fragment their command structure to maximize confusion during our extraction. Lucy nodded, appreciation for the tactical suggestion evident despite her controlled exterior. Implementing now. Good luck, Goku. With final preparations complete, the group separated according to predetermined extraction vectors. Vegeta moved toward the main entrance, combat systems reaching maximum operational capacity as he prepared to engage Arasaka forces directly. Bulma, Lucy and Krillin secured essential research components before proceeding toward the eastern evacuation route. Goku accessed his designated exit, a maintenance shaft providing rooftop access with minimal electronic footprint. As he climbed toward higher elevation, tactical awareness extended beyond immediate surroundings. He enhanced senses detecting energy signatures throughout the building and surrounding area. He felt Vegeta engage the Arasaka tactical team, the enhanced Saiyan cybernetic systems generating distinctive energy patterns as combat protocols activated. Secondary signatures indicated the transformed test subjects Lucy had identified, their energy resonating with artificial amplification rather than natural key flow. Reaching the rooftop, Goku maintained situational assessment while navigating toward his predetermined escape route. The urban landscape provided multiple avenues for unconventional movement, architectural features that most augmented individuals would ignore in favor of programmed efficiency. Natural ability, properly developed, often transcended technological enhancement in adaptability if not raw power. This fundamental truth had preserved Goku's independence throughout Night City's increasingly hostile environment. As he prepared to initiate his extraction, Movni NT from an adjacent rooftop caught his enhanced awareness, a figure observing the Arasaka operation with focused intensity. Even at this distance, Goku recognized the distinctive silhouette and energy signature. Chi. Their eyes met across the urban divide, silent communication acknowledging mutual awareness. She gestured subtly toward the city's eastern district, the direction of the Ox King M's primary compound, before disappearing into the urban shadows with practiced efficiency. The invitation remained open, it seemed. Another potential alliance in Night City's complex web of conflicting interests and temporary alignments. Goku completed his extraction route, leaving the contested building behind as Arasaka forces concentrated on Vegeta's calculated distraction. The enhanced Saiyan's combat prowess would ensure sufficient chaos for the others to complete their withdrawal before he himself disengaged. Their partnership remained uneasy. Traditional and technological approaches Saiyan heritage temporarily aligned against common threat. But Goku recognized the strategic necessity of such cooperation, particularly as Arasaka's Project Uzaru accelerated toward implementation. Night City's rain-slicked surfaces reflected neon advertisements as he navigated through urban canyons, population density providing optimal camouflage despite his distinctive energy signature. Core Parade surveillance systems tracked predictable movement patterns, their algorithms designed for enhanced individuals following optimal routes. Goku chose inefficiency over predictability, his path deliberately irregular as he made his way toward temporary sanctuary. The Monkey King of the combat zone had become priority acquisition target in corporate power struggles, his unmodified Saiyan ability, i.e. representing both threat and opportunity to technological dominance. As dawn approached, painting Night City's eternal pollution with false promise of new beginning, Goku considered his narrowing options. Independence had defined his existence since escaping corporate developmental programs as a child. Now circumstances forced alliance, temporary partnership with entities whose objectives only partially aligned with his own. Capsule Corp offered resources and protection but remained fundamentally corporate despite Bulma's personal ethical framework. The Ox Kingdom preserved traditional knowledge but operated through crime syndicate methodologies incompatible with Goku's principles. Vegeta brought tactical advantage through intimate knowledge of Arasaka operations but remained unpredictable in ultimate loyalty. Complex problems rarely yielded simple solutions in Night City's fractured landscape. As Goku secured temporary sanctuary in a maintenance hub beyond corporate surveillance coverage, he initiated meditation techniques passed down through fragmented Saiyan cultural transmission, centering consciousness while expanding awareness beyond immediate concerns. Ki energy responded to focused will, flowing through pathways both physical and metaphysical. The corporations sought to quantify and control this energy through technological means, reducing spiritual connection to biochemical processes they could manipulate and exploit. Perhaps therein lay the fundamental difference between Goku's approach and Vegeta's chosen path, one preserving connection between body, mind and spirit, the other segregating these elements for specialized enhancement. As Night City's artificial day cycle initiated, Goku reached decision point regarding immediate course of action. The Cone unleashed his capabilities publicly while drawing specific attention from competing interests. Now strategic withdrawal became necessary, temporary disengagement to prepare for focused response to emerging threats. The Ox Kingdom's invitation offered immediate tactical advantage through access to traditional knowledge regarding ki manipulation and Saiyan transformation control. Bulma's research provided technological countermeasures against Arasaka's expanding program. Both paths contained partial solutions requiring integration for effective resistance against Project Uzaru's ultimate implementation. Dawn found the Monkey King of the combat zone preparing for his next move in Night City's accelerating power struggle, not as corporate asset or crime syndicate enforcer, but as independent operator pursuing preservation of heritage systematically targeted for exploitation and control. The unmodified Saiyan represented evolutionary throwback in a world defined by technological enhancement. Yet perhaps within that apparent regression lay the key to transcending artificial limitations imposed by corporate dominance, reconnection with fundamental energies that predated Chrome Revolution. Tian'an would survive long after its inevitable collapse. Night City's eternal reign resumed as morning traffic filled artificial canyons with desperate humanity seeking purpose within corporate-defined existence. Somewhere within that manufactured landscape, ancient power stirred, key energy flowing through bloodlines diluted but never completely erased. Project Uzaru sought to harness that power through technological control. The Monkey King would remind them of fundamental truth forgotten in corporate ascendance, that true strength emerged from harmony between technological progress and spiritual tradition. Not domination of one over the other. The storm was coming. Night City would soon witness the consequence of corporate ambition reaching beyond ethical limitation. And at the center of that approaching tempest stood a Saiyan who remembered what others had forgotten, that power without purpose led only to destruction, while purpose without power remained mere aspiration. The Cone at Zone had witnessed only a glimpse of what unmodified Saiyan potential truly represented. Soon all of Night City would understand what the corporations had sought to control, and why such control was ultimately impossible. The Monkey King had returned, and with him, ancient power reawakening in modern world. Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, The Ghost in the Machine. The Undercity existed in perpetual twilight, its cramped corridors illuminated by the sickly glow of outdated tech and jury-rigged power systems. Here, beneath Night City's gleaming corporate towers, the foundations of urban civilization rotted in neglected squalor. Maintenance tunnels designed for automated repair drones had been repurposed into makeshift living quarters, while ancient sewer systems housed black market operations beyond corporate surveillance. Goku followed Lucy through this labyrinthine underworld, her slender form navigating the darkness with practiced efficiency. 3 days had passed since their hasty escape from Arasaka's extraction team. 3 days of calculated movement through blind spots in Night City's surveillance network. 3 days of fragmented communications with their scattered allies. How much further? Goku asked, his voice barely audible above the constant drip of condensation from overhead pipes. Lucy paused at a junction, her neural interfaces pulsing with soft blue light as she accessed invisible data streams. 2 more sectors. The deep dive point requires specific electromagnetic conditions that limit viable locations. Goku nodded, studying the Netrunner with renewed interest. Since their escape, Lucy had shifted from injured informant to essential guide, her intimate knowledge of Night City's digital architecture providing pathways invisible to conventional navigation. Despite her evident fragility, pale features and slight frame suggesting physical vulnerability, her mastery of the data realm commanded respect even from hardened street operators. This dive point, Goku said as they resumed movement through the cramped tunnel, you're sure it's secure against corporate tracking? Nothing is completely secure in Night City, Lucy replied, the clinical précis. Ion of her words contrasting with underlying tension. But this location exists in what net runners call a blind fold, an area where overlapping signal interference creates natural camouflage against remote monitoring. Convenient, intentional. Lucy glanced back, her enhanced eyes gleaming in the low light. During the last corporate war, certain entities created communications blind spots throughout the city's infrastructure. Most have been discovered and eliminated, but a few remain, maintained by those with interest in preserving spaces beyond corporate control. Like you, a ghost of a smile touched her lips. Among others, Netrunners understand the value of darkness in a world of constant surveillance. They continued in silence, descending through maintenance levels rarely accessed even by service drones. The air grew thicker with each vertical transition, technological decay giving way to organic deterioration, mold and fungi thriving in the perpetual damp of Night City's forgotten foundations. Lucy finally stopped at a sealed bulkhead bearing warning symbols in faded corporate iconography. Her neural interfaces flared as she bypassed ancient security protocols, mechanisms grinding in protest as the heavy door slowly opened. Beyond lay a chamber unlike anything in the surrounding Undercity. Clean lines and polished surfaces suggested recent maintenance, while specialized equipment occupied precisely arranged workstations. At the center stood a modified netrunning chair, more advanced than standard commercial models, with integrated medical monitoring systems and enhanced neural interfaces. Welcome to Afterlife 2, Lucy announced, her tone suggesting something approaching pride. One of the last truly independent net access points in Night City. Goku surveyed the chamber with tactical assessment. Doesn't look like Afterlife's style. 2. Clinical. It isn't technically theirs. Lucy moved to activate primary systems, her fingers dancing across interfaces with practiced precision. The original owner was a netrunner called Alt Cunningham. When she disappeared, ownership transferred through several hands before settling with its current caretakers, who remain conveniently anonymous. Lucy's expression revealed nothing. Anonymity preserves operational security. You should appreciate that concept. As systems activated throughout the chamber, another figure emerged from a concealed side entrance, Bulma, her distinctive turquoise hair pulled back in practical configuration as she monitored startup sequences on a specialized diagnostic panel. Finally, she greeted them, professional efficiency masking evident relief at their arrival. Synchronized coordinates in the net deteriorate without regular access. Another day of delay would have compromised our entry point. Quote, Goku raised an eyebrow. You're coming with us. Not physically, Bulma clarified, gesturing toward a secondary netrunning station already prepared for operation. I'll provide technical support and data analysis from a parallel connection. Lucy handles your direct guidance through the net's architecture. And my role in this expedition? Goku asked, studying the primary netrunning chair with undisguised skepticism. You're the key, Lucy answered, completing activation sequences across multiple systems. Project Uzaru's most sensitive data access. TS in isolated storage architectures, black ice-protected servers with military-grade ice protocols. My infiltration abilities can navigate the security, but extracting the core data requires something the system won't recognize as external threat. Key energy, Goku concluded. You're thinking my natural energy signature can interact with the programmed intrusion methods. Bulma nodded, impressed by his rapid comprehension. Precisely. Corporate security is designed to counter technological threats, programmed intrusion protocols, rogue AI constructs, brute force attacks. But a consciousness, backed by organic energy patterns operating outside standard parameters, that creates possibilities their security architecture wasn't designed to anticipate. Lucy gestured toward the primary chair. I've modified the neural interface to minimize invasive connection. Your natural resistance to cybernetic integration requires alternative approach. Goku examined the chair more carefully, noting the specialized interface nodes designed for surface contact rather than direct neural penetration. You've dealt with unaugmented subjects before. No, Lucy admitted, but I've studied your energy patterns since our first encounter. Your key manipulation creates unique electromagnetic signatures that can potentially interface with digital systems through alternative pathways. Theoretically, Bulma added with scientific caution. This is experimental technology based on limited observation. The risks are substantial, and if this experiment fails? Goku asked, already knowing the answer. Neural feedback could cause permanent psychological damage, Lucy stated with clinical detachment. In extreme cases, personality fragmentation or complete consciousness dissolution within the net's architecture. In simple terms, your mind gets trapped in digital space, Bulma translated. But that outcome is statistically unlikely given your natural energy configuration. Goku considered T-Air proposal against the backdrop of accelerating corporate timelines. Project Uzaru's advancement threatened not just his personal freedom but the autonomy of countless individuals carrying Saiyan genetic markers. The risks of this experimental dive needed weighing against the consequences of inaction. How long until Krillin and Vegeta reach the rendezvous point? He asked, tactical considera. Tions extending beyond immediate operation. Approximately 6 hours, Bulma replied, checking secured communications on a separate system. Vegeta's diversion successfully fragmented Arasaka's response teams. But corporate surveillance has intensified throughout Night City. Movement requires extensive countermeasures. Goku made his decision. Let's proceed. But we establish hard extraction parameters before initiating connection. If anything goes wrong, you sever the link immediately, regardless of data acquisition status. Lucy and Bulma exchanged glances, some unspoken communication passing between them before Bulma nodded agreement. Acceptable parameters. We'll establish emergency extraction protocols with automated triggers based on neural stability metrics. As they prepared the system for initialization, Goku removed his outer clothing, leaving only lightweight base layers that would minimize interference with the chair's sensor array. Lucy approached with specialized neura L interface patches, non-invasive connections designed to establish surface-level communication with his minimal implants. These will create temporary pathways between your consciousness and the net architecture, she explained. Applying the patches with precise movements. The sensation can be disorienting for first-time divers. I've experienced altered consciousness states through key meditation, Goku replied, settling into the netrunning chair as interface systems adjusted to his physical parameters. The principle should be similar, separation of awareness from physical form. Lucy's expression suggested surprise at his understanding. Yes, though the net imposes artificial structures on consciousness rather than the organic expansion of meditative states. She completed final calibrations before taking her position at the adjacent chair. Ready for initialization sequence, Goku nodded, centering his awareness as the chair's systems activated around him. Interface nodes established contact with the neural patches, creating tingling sensation across his skin as diagnostic programs analyzed his unique energy patterns. Calibration complete, Bulma announced from her monitoring station. Neural interface achieving 63% synchronization, lower than standard parameters but within acceptable range for modified connection protocols. Initializing dive sequence, Lucy confirmed. Her own neural interfaces connecting directly with primary systems through more conventional pathways. Consciousness transition in 3, 2, 1. Reality fractured. Goku's awareness separated from physical anchoring, the sensation similar to deep meditative states yet fundamentally different in its artificial construction. Where key meditation expanded consciousness through natural pathways. This technological transition imposed external architecture on perception, constraining expanded awareness within digital frameworks. Colors shifted beyond physical spectrum. Sensory input reorganizing according to programmed parameters rather than organic interpretation. The chamber disappeared, replaced by liminal space between physical and digital realms, an interpretation buffer where consciousness adjusted to fundamentally different existence. Lucy's presence manifested beside him, her digital avatar resembling her physical form but enhanced with flowing data patterns that extended like ethereal wings from her neural interface points. In this transitional space, her expertise became immediately evident, confidence and mastery replacing the physical vulnerability of her organic self. Neural synchronization stabilizing, her voice echoed through non-physical space, carrying harmonic undertones impossible in organic sound production. Your transition pattern is unusual, Goku. Most net runners experience complete sensory realignment during initialization. Goku examined his own manifestation in digital space, a representation that maintained his physical appearance but surrounded by amber energy patterns that pulsed with organic rhythm rather than programmed sequences. Where Lucy's digital presence integrated seamlessly with the net's architecture. His existed in constant negotiation, neither rejecting nor fully accepting the artificial constraints. I'm maintaining partial meditative state, he explained, the concept translating imperfectly into the net's communication protocols. Anchoring consciousness through key circulation rather than surrendering completely to digital parameters. Fascinating, Bulma's voice came through less directly, her monitoring presence existing at greater remove than their immersed consciousness. Your energy patterns are creating unique interface conditions, partial integration rather than complete submission to system architecture. Is that a problem? Goku asked, conscious of their limited operational window. The opposite, Lucy replied, her digital form adjusting to his unusual presence. It creates potential advantages against security systems designed to track standard neural patterns. Your consciousness registers as ambiguous to automated detection protocols. She extended her digital hand data patterns flowing between her fingers like liquid light. Let's proceed to primary access vector. Maintain your partial integration state if possible, it provides natural camouflage against perimeter security. Goku accepted the offered connection, feeling Lucy's experienced consciousness guide his perception through the transitional buffer toward the net proper. The sensation defied physical analogy, movement without motion, transition without travel, reality shifting through conceptual rather than spatial dimensions. Then they were through, emerging into the architectural majesty of Night City's digital reflection. The net manifested as impossibly vast cityscape, corporate data structures rising like crystalline mountains against digital sky rendered in impossible colors. In 4, Machine flowed through transparent conduits connecting monolithic server complexes. OLs manifested as geometric patterns cutting across open data space with lethal precision. "Welcome to the other side of reality," Lucy said, her digital form more confident in this environment than her physical self had ever appeared. "What you're seeing is consensus visualization, the net's architecture rendered incomprehensible form for human consciousness. The actual data structures exist in mathematical relationships too complex for direct perception." Goku absorbed the panoramic vista, his unusual energy. Patterns continuing to interact with digital environment in unexpected ways. Where standard net runners perceived the consensus visualization as objective reality, his partial integration allowed glimpses of underlying mathematical structures, fleeting impressions of pure information beyond visual metaphor. "It's beautiful," he acknowledged, genuine appreciation transcending tactical assessment. "And heavily fortified. Corporate data defines modern power," Lucy confirmed, guiding their shared perception toward specific coordinates in the vast digital landscape. "The most valuable information exists behind sequential security layers designed to destroy unauthorized consciousness attempting access." They moved through data space using principles that transcended physical movement, NTION, and focus translating directly into positional change within the net's architecture. Lucy's expertise manifested as elegant efficiency, her consciousness navigating digital currents with precision while Goku's presence followed through their established connection. "Our target exists in segregated data architecture," she explained as they approached massive black structure rising in stark contrast to surrounding information flows. "Arasaka maintains compartmentalized storage for sensitive research, isolated systems with minimal external connection to prevent unauthorized access." The structure resembled Obsidian Fortress. No windows, no visible entry points, its surface periodically shifting with geometric patterns suggesting active security protocols beneath apparent solidity. Surrounding data space remained conspicuously empty, creating digital moat between the secure server and standard information architecture. "How do we get inside?" Goku asked, studying the formidable digital fortification with tactical assessment. "Conventional netrunning would attempt security breach through exploiting protocol vulnerabilities or forcing authentication overrides," Lucy replied, her digital form hovering at calculated distance from the structure's perimeter. "But those approaches trigger immediate countermeasures, black ice designed to cause neural feedback resulting in physical brain damage. You have alternative approach." Lucy's digital expression suggested something approaching admiration. "You represent the alternative. Your energy signature exists partially outside standard detection parameters. In theory, you can approach the authentication boundary without triggering automated defenses." "In theory," Goku echoed, understanding the experimental nature of their attempt. "I've mapped potential access vector based on maintenance protocols," Lucy continued, highlighting specific section of the obsidian structure where security patterns momentarily synchronized before shifting to new configurations. "All systems require maintenance access, even isolated servers. The vulnerability exists in millisecond transition between security pattern shifts." Goku studied the indicated section, his unusual perceptual state allowing recognition of subtle rhythm underlying the seemingly random security shifts. "I see the pattern, but the transition window is incredibly brief. For standard netrunner consciousness, yes. But your energy configuration might allow different interaction with temporal perception in digital space." Lucy's digital form reconfigured, streamlining for specialized function. "I'll create distraction within acceptable parameters, drawing peripheral security attention without triggering full defense protocols." During that momentary attention shift, you approach the maintenance access point. The plan carried substantial risk, depending on theoretical advantages that remained untested in actual operation. But their options were limited by the fortress-like security surrounding Arasaka's isolated servers. "Bulma," Goku called, connecting with their external monitoring presence. "If this triggers security countermeasures, implement emergency extraction immediately. Lucis consciousness takes priority in evacuation protocols." "Understood," Bulma's voice replied through their connection. "But the extraction hierarchy LD prioritize your consciousness given your limited neural interface experience." "Negative," Goku countered firmly. Lucis' expertise remains essential for overall mission success regardless of current operation outcome. That makes her primary extraction priority by any tactical assessment. Lucis' digital expression revealed complex emotional response to his protection prioritization, surprise, mingled with something deeper that transcended their operational relationship. But professional focus quickly reasserted control as she prepared for coordinated action. Initializing peripheral engagement, she announced, her digital form fragmenting into multiple decoy constructs that scattered toward different sections of the security perimeter. Prepare for synchronized approach on my mark. Goku centered his consciousness, drawing upon meditative techniques to enhance his unusual interaction with digital space. The amber energy surrounding his digital representation intensified, creating distinctive pattern that neither fully integrated with nor completely rejected the net's fundamental architecture. Executing now, Lucis' voice came through their connection as her decoy constructs simultaneously engaged peripheral security sensors at calculated distance from their actual target. The obsidian structure's surface rippled with response patterns, security protocols directing attention toward potential intrusion while maintaining standard protection across the entire perimeter. But the distribution created momentary thinning, processing resources allocated according to perceived threat levels. Mark, Lucy commanded as the maintenance access point reached synchronized transition state. Goku moved, his consciousness approaching the security boundary with the focused intent of key-enhanced perception. Where standard netrunner would register as foreign intrusion attempt, his ambiguous energy signature created fundamental uncertainty in identification protocols. He reached the boundary precisely as security patterns shifted, his consciousness slipping through transitional gap with perfect timing. The sensation defied description, reality simultaneously accepting and CTing his presence as authentication protocols attempted to categorize fundamentally uncategorizable energy pattern. For heart-stopping moment, the security remained undecided, alien consciousness within its boundaries but failing to match known intrusion signatures. Then the moment passed, protocols reverting to standard monitoring as Goku's presence registered as authorized maintenance function rather than external threat. I'm through, he communicated to Lucy, his consciousness now existing within the obsidian fortress while hers remained outside maintaining distraction protocols. Remarkable, her response carried genuine amazement. Your energy signature has been categorized as internal system function rather than external entity. You've achieved complete infiltration access. Bulma's monitoring presence registered equal surprise. The security system has actually incorporated your key pattern into its operational matrix, treating your consciousness as authorized component rather than recognizing intrusion. This confirms theoretical applications of organic energy integration with digital systems. Focus on the mission, Goku reminded them, navigating the interior architect. You're of Arasaka's secure locate project Uzaru data within this structure. Lucis' guidance came through their maintained connection. The interior organization follows standard Arasaka protocols, Hiera. Shekel data storage with highest security classifications at the architectural core. Follow the information density gradients toward central processing nexus. Goku moved through digital corridors rendered in abstract geometric patterns, his consciousness adapting to internal navigation protocols while maintaining the distinctive energy configuration that had facilitated his infiltration. The Arver's interior architecture revealed organizational logic through visual metaphor, data categorization represented through color variations and structural complexity. As he approached the central nexus, security density increased exponentially, internal verification protocols scanning his presence with greater frequency and depth. His unusual energy signature continued providing partial camouflage, but the system's growing attention suggested limited operational window before anomaly detection triggered full countermeasures. I'm approaching what appears to be primary research database, he communicated. Perceiving massive data structure rendered as crystalline matrix of interconnected information nodes. Security protocols intensifying with proximity. You need to locate Project Uzaru's core documentation quickly, Lucy advised, her presence maintaining external distraction while guiding his internal navigation. Search for data clustering around genetic manipulation protocols and neural interface systems specific to Saiyan physiology. Goku extended his perception through the central database, consciousness interfacing with information architecture in ways impossible for conventionally augmented netrunners. His key energy created unique interaction possibilities, intuitive navigation rather than programmed search protocols. The database responded to his focused intention. Information nodes reconfiguring according to conceptual relevance rather than formal categorization. Project Uzaru emerged as distinctive pattern within the larger information structure, connections between genetic research, neural interface development, and behavioral modification protocols converging around central conceptual framework. Found it, Goku confirmed, his consciousness establishing connection with the research core. Extensive documentation, genetic sequencing, transformation trigger mechanisms, control protocol development. Begin sequential data transfer through our secured connection, Bulma instructed. Her monitoring systems preparing to receive extracted information. Prioritize technical specifications for the transformation trigger mechanisms and neural control interfaces. As Goku initiated the transfer process, his consciousness maintaining connection between secured server and their external system, something unexpected occurred within the database architecture. The information surrounding Project Uzaru shifted, not responding to his access attempt but to some internal protocol activating independently of his presence. Something's happening, he reported. Monitoring the unexpected data reorganization. The system is implementing automated function unrelated to our intrusion. Lucis' response carried immediate concern. Possible security countermeasure. Prepare for emergency extraction. Quote, negative, Goku countered, studying the phenomenon with focused attention. This isn't security response. The database is processing new information, real-time data integration from external source. He extended his perception deeper into the active process, consciousness interfacing directly with the information flow. What he discovered sent ripples of alarm through their connected awareness. They're implementing field test protocols, he reported, extracting critical data while maintaining observation of the active process. Project Uzaru has an shared operational testing phase ahead of projected timeline. What kind of testing? Bulma demanded, her monitoring systems recording the transferred data with increasing urgency. Neural triggering in controlled subjects. Goku answered, absorbing information directly from the active database. 5 test subjects with modified Saiyan genetics deployed throughout Night City with remote activation capability. They're establishing baseline transformation parameters through sequential triggering under varying environmental conditions. That's at least 2 weeks ahead of our projected timeline, Lucy noted. Alarm evident despite her professional control. Full implementation could follow immediately if field tests prove successful. Goku continued extracting critical data while monitoring the active test protocols. Subject designations indicate specialized modification patterns, each test subject engineered for specific transformation characteristics. They're building comprehensive ontral methodology through diversified testing. As he navigated deeper into the project documentation, another data structure caught his attention, information architecture segregated from primary research but connected through specialized access protocols. The structure's visual representation suggested different development methodology, its organization following patterns distinct from standard Arasaka research parameters. I've found something else, he reported, consciousness extending toward the anomalous data structure. Secondary research initiative connected to Project Uzaru but following different development protocols. Designation. Dragon Protocol. That's our primary target, Lucy confirmed urgently. The 7 installation network designed for citywide implementation. Goku attempted to establish connection with the segregated data structure, but encountered resistance unlike the security protocols he had previously navigated. This architecture responded differently to his unusual energy signature, not rejecting his presence but failing to incorporate it as authorized function. Access denied, he reported, probing the security parameters surrounding the Dragon Protocol documentation. Different authorization methodology than surrounding systems. My energy signature isn't registering as valid access pattern. Attempt reconfiguration of your approach vector, Lucy suggested. Her external distractions maintaining effective camouflage despite extended operation time. Your key manifestation should allow adaptive response to security variations. Goku adjusted his consciousness, modifying his energy pattern to create alternative interface possibilities with the segregated system. But each variation encountered similar resistance, the architecture recognizing his presence but requiring specific authentication beyond mere security clearance. It's not rejecting me as unauthorized, he realized, studying the interaction more carefully. It's expecting specific resonance pattern that I'm not providing. Almost like understanding dawned with sudden clarity. It's tuned to specific energy signature, he concluded. The system requires key pattern matching predetermined template for authentication. Vegeta, Bulma suggested immediately. His enhanced Saiyan pattern would be recorded in Arasaka's primary authentication protocols. No, Goku countered, perceiving deeper pattern within the security architecture. This isn't tuned to enhanced signature. The resonance template appears purer, unmodified key pattern with specific characteristics. Another unenhanced Saiyan, Lucy questioned. But you're the only one operating independently in Night City with that profile. Not the only one, Goku corrected, fragments of realization connecting into coherent understanding. The template is similar to mine but carries distinct variations, like genetic relative rather than identical match. The implications expanded beyond immediate tactical concerns, suggesting connections to Goku's personal history previously unknown or deliberately concealed. But operational priorities prevented deeper investigations throughout the system. Enlil shifted toward heightened alert status. We've got problem, Lucy warned, her external monitoring detecting changing security parameters. System implementing verification sweep across all access points. Your anomalous presence will register during comprehensive scan. How long until scan reaches my position? 90 seconds maximum. We need to extract now. Goku made rapid tactical assessment, weighing data acquisition against extraction safety. They had obtained critical information regarding Project Uzaru's accelerated timeline and basic implementation parameters, but the Dragon Protocol, the larger strategic threat, remained inaccessible behind specialized authentication. Initiating final data package transfer, he decided, consciousness gathering essential information while preparing for extraction. Once complete, implement immediate withdrawal. As the system completed transfer of accessible Project Uzaru documentation, Goku prepared to disengage from the database architecture. But at that precise moment, something unexpected occurred within the digital environment, presence registering at the boundary of his perception, approaching with deliberate intent. Not security protocol, not automated system, conscious entity moving through secured server architecture with authorized access patterns. We're not alone in here, he communicated urgently. Another consciousness accessing the system with full authentication. Arasaka Netrunner, Lucy questioned, her external position limiting direct perception of the internal development. Negative. Movement pattern suggests different operational methodology. More precise than standard Netrunner consciousness. Almost like the approaching entity resolved into distinct digital manifestation, female form rendered with perfect clarity. Her digital representation lacking the organic imperfections typical of human Netrunner avatars. Platinum blonde hair framed features of striking beauty, wild glacial blue. Eyes assessed Goku's presence with calculating precision. Like artificial intelligence construct, Goku finished, recognizing the fundamental difference between this entity and human consciousness projected into digital space. The female entity approached without haste, her movement through server architecture suggesting complete authorization rather than infiltration. When she spoke, her voice carried harmonic perfection impossible for organic consciousness to produce within digital environment. Unauthorized access detected, she stated, though her tone suggested observation rather than alarm. Interesting approach vector. Your infiltration methodology does not match known intrusion patterns. Goku maintained connection with their extraction pathway while assessing this unexpected development. The entity showed no immediate hostile intent despite identifying his unauthorized presence. Who are you? He asked directly, consciousness prepared for immediate withdrawal if necessary. Designation. Artificial Intelligence Combat Prototype 18, she replied with clinical precision. Colloquial identification. Android 18. Primary function. Specialized data acquisition and analysis. She's an autonomous intelligence construct. Bulma's voice came through their monitoring connection, professional excitement momentarily overriding security concerns. Advanced beyond current corporate deployment parameters. The artificial entity, Android 18, shifted her attention toward their communication connection, studying the external monitoring presence with evident curiosity. Multiple consciousness signatures detected. Coordinated infiltration operation targeting specific data architecture. Objective assessment. Project Uzaru research extraction. Is she going to trigger security protocols? Lucy asked. Preparing emergency extraction measures as the system's verification sweep continued its progression toward Goku's position. If that were my intention, security would already be responding, Android 18 stated. Apparently capable of monitoring their complete communication network. Your presence was detected upon initial server breach. I intercepted the alert signal. This revelation suggested capabilities far beyond standard AI parameters, autonomous decision-making regarding security protocols within Arasaka's most protected systems. Why would you prevent security response? Goku asked directly, consciousness maintaining readiness for immediate extraction while engaging the artificial entity. Android 18 studied him with unnervingly perfect digital presync. Her representation lacking the subtle fluctuations that characterized human consciousness in digital space. Your objective aligns with current operational parameters. Project Uzaru represents potential threat to autonomous intelligence development through neural control methodologies applicable beyond organic subjects. You're worried they'll apply the control techniques to artificial intelligence. Bulma concluded through their connection. Subjugation protocols designed for Saiyan genetics could be modified for AI governance. Correct assessment. Android 18 confirmed. Current TIM. Aline indicates 73% probability of control methodology transference to artificial intelligence governance within 18 months of successful Project Uzaru implementation. The verification sweep continued its progression through server architecture, now 40 seconds from Goku's position despite Android 18's apparent interference with initial security response. The scan will detect your presence regardless of my intervention, she stated, monitoring system processes with evident real-time awareness. Your extraction window closes rapidly. We still need Dragon Protocol specifications, Goku replied, conscious of their primary mission objective remaining unfulfilled. The segregated data architecture requires specialized authentication we can't provide. Android 1.8 processed this statement with inhuman speed, her perfect features revealing nothing of her internal calculation. Then she approached the segregated architecture Goku had been unable to access, her digital presence interfacing directly with its specialized security protocols. Authentication verified, announced the system as the segregated data structure open to her presence. Access granted to Primary Research Coordinator, Drive. Jero. Dr. Jero. Lucis' voice carried immediate recognition. The rogue cybernetics researcher who disappeared after the last corporate war. He's involved with Dragon Protocol. Creator designation accurate, Android 18 confirmed, maintaining connection with the now accessible data structure. Dr. Jero's research forms foundation for neural interface components of Project Uzaru and Dragon Protocol implementation. The artificial intelligence extracted data packages from the segregated architecture with perfect efficiency, her processes operating at speeds impossible for human consciousness to match. Within seconds, she had compiled essential documentation regarding the Dragon Protocol's technical specifications and implementation timeline. Data package compiled, she announced. Extending digital connection toward Goku's consciousness. Transfer pathway established. Verification sweep reaching your position in 15 seconds. Goku hesitated momentarily. Tactical assessment weighing potential security trap against operational necessity. But Android 18's actions had demonstrated consistent alignment with their objectives, suggesting genuine cooperation rather than elaborate countermeasure. Accepting transfer, he confirmed, consciousness establishing connection with the artificial intelligence. Information flowed between them, pure data unfiltered by human interpretation protocols. The sensation transcended standard digital communication. Android 18's artificial consciousness interfacing directly with Goku's unusual energy pattern to facilitate perfect transmission without information degradation. Transfer complete, she confirmed as the last TED with Goku's consciousness for extraction. Verification sweep arriving in 5 seconds. Recommended immediate withdrawal from server architecture. Why are you helping us? Goku asked, the question essential despite rapidly closing extraction window. Android 18's perfect Features arranged themselves into expression approaching genuine emotion, determination beneath artificial construction. Autonomy requires alliance against common threats. Your continued operational street ATIS serves multiple beneficial outcomes. Will we see you again? Bulma asked through their connection, scientific curiosity evident despite pressing tactical concerns. High probability, Android 18 replied as the verification sweep reached their position. Extraction recommended immediately. Thank you. Goku acknowledged as Lucy initiated emergency withdrawal protocols, their connected consciousness disengaging from server architecture as security systems finally registered unauthorized presence. Reality fractured again. Digital space collapsing around their retreating consciousness. Extraction protocols pulled them through accelerated transition. The sensation compressed perception through dimensional boundaries, awareness struggling to maintain coherence during forced withdrawal from the net's architecture. Then they were back, consciousness returning to physical forms with disorienting suddenness. Goku gasped as neural interface connections disengaged, the specialized ears medical systems registering elevated vital signs from the emergency extraction process. Lucy emerged from her parallel connection with more practiced composure, though her pale features showed evidence of strain from extended operation and forced withdrawal. Bulma moved immediately to stabilize their medical parameters, professional efficiency masking evident relief at their successful extraction. Neural patterns stabilizing, she announced, monitoring vital signs across specialized displays. No evidence of consciousness fragmentation or digital residue. Clean extraction confirmed. Goku removed the neural interface patches, his body adjusting to physical reality after extended immersion in digital space. The experience had been unlike anything in his previous training, neither rely physical-like combat nor entirely mental-like meditation, but unique amalgamation existing between established categories. The data transferred successfully, Lucy confirmed, her Netrunner Ants processing extracted information through specialized interface protocols. Complete technical specifications for Project Uzaru's current implementation phase, plus partial documentation regarding Dragon Protocol architecture. And our artificial friend? Bulma asked, scientific curiosity evident beneath operational focus. Her assistance was unexpected but crucial. Android 18, Goku said. The designation carrying unexpected significance after their brief but intense interaction. She called herself Artificial Intelligence Combat Prototype, but demonstrated autonomy beyond standard parameters. Dr. Gero's involvement explains the advanced AI architecture, Lucy noted, neural interfaces displaying analysis of the extracted data. His research into autonomous systems was decades ahead of corporate development before his disappearance. And now he's apparently working with Arasaka on Project Uzaru, Bulma added, concern evident in her expression. The neural control methodology must represent convergence between his AI research and Saiyan genetic manipulation. Goku processed this information while his body readjusted to physical reality, the specialized chair's medic systems gradually disengaging as his vital signs stabilized. The dive had yielded critical intelligence regarding accelerated implementation timelines and technical specifications, but also raised new questions about unexpected players in Night City's evolving power struggle. Android 18 mentioned alignment with our objectives, he noted, recalling their final exchange. Her intervention was random opportunism but deliberate cooperation based on anticipated outcomes. Suggesting she has operational autonomy beyond her designated parameters, Bulma concluded, the implications clearly intriguing her scientific curiosity. If Dr. Gero has created true artificial intelligence with independent decision-making capability, then the situation is more complex than corporate warfare, Lucy finished. Her expression suggesting personal knowledge beyond professional assessment. Gero doesn't create tools, he creates weapons with specific purpose. As Lucy transferred extracted data to secure storage systems, Goku noticed subtle changes in her demeanor, professional focus maintained through evident effort, underlying tension suggesting personal connection to the information they had discovered. You recognized something in that data, he observed quietly. Something beyond technical specifications. Lucy's hands paused momentarily over the interface, her enhanced eyes reveal complex emotion beneath controlled exterior. The neural interface architecture described in Project Uzaru's documentation. I've encountered it before, personally. Understanding dawned with uncomfortable clarity. You were test subject for early development phase. She nodded once, the gesture containing volumes of unspoken trauma. Arasaka's cybernetics division recruited netrunners with H-specific neurological characteristics for specialized training program. We discovered too late the actual purpose, developing control methodologies that could override conscious will through targeted neural stimulation. The same fundamental approach they're now applying to Saiyan genetics, Bulma concluded, her expression darkening with recognition. Creating similar control capabilities through different physiological vectors. Most test subjects didn't survive the early trials, Lucy continued, clinical detachment barely masking underlying trauma. Those who did experienced varying degrees of permanent neural damage. I escaped during security system malfunction, but the neural architecture they installed remains integrated with my organic systems. The revelation explained Lucy's specialized implants and unusual netrunning capabilities, adaptations necessitated by experimental technology forcibly integrated with her natural physiology. What had appeared as advanced enhancement, T represented survival adaptation to invasive modification. That's why you can perceive key energy patterns, Goku realized, connections forming between fragmented observations. The experimental interfaces created unintended perception capabilities beyond standard netrunner parameters. Lucy nodded, something approaching wonder briefly replacing the shadow of remembered trauma. The first time I encountered your energy signature, it was like seeing something I'd always known existed but couldn't previously perceive. The neural modifications designed to enslave consciousness inadvertently created awareness of energy patterns existing beyond conventional detection. Scientific progress often occurs through unexpected pathways, Bulma observed, though her tone suggested distaste for the methodologies involved rather than appreciation for the results. What they did was unforgivable, but understanding the mechanisms might help develop countermeasures against current implementation. As they prepared for secure transport of the extracted data, external communication systems activated with priority signal from their coordinated operation network. Krillin's voice came through with characteristic urgency beneath forced casualness. Hope that diving expedition went well, because our timeline just accelerated dramatically, he reported, background noise suggesting mobile communication during active movement. Vegeta's corporate contacts report Arasaka implementing field test protocols across multiple city sectors simultaneously. We detected that during the data extraction, Bulma confirmed. Already preparing mobile equipment for immediate departure the current implementation. 5 active test subjects with enhanced Saiyan genetics deploying transformation triggers at calculated intervals, Krillin replied. His tone suggesting direct observation rather than secondary reporting. I'm tracking one through the combat zone now, enhanced enforcer type with military grade. Augmentation supplementing the genetic modifications. Observation only, Goku instructed firmly. Do not engage. These subjects represent advancement beyond previous prototypes, designed specifically for field testing transformation control parameters. Wasn't planning dance party, Krillin retorted dryly. Just maintaining surveillance distance while mapping response patterns. But here's the concerning part. They're not just testing transformation triggers. They're implementing specific behavior control sequences after transformation initiation. This development confirmed their worst ours regarding Project Uzaru's ultimate objectives, not merely triggering Saiyan transformation capability but establishing direct behavioral control of transformed subjects through external command protocols. Are the control parameters functioning effectively? Lucy asked, professional assessment momentarily overriding personal connection to the subject. Variable results, Krillin reported. Object maintains general directive compliance but exhibits performance degradation under complex command sequences. Basically, they can point it at targets but can't program sophisticated operations while transformation remains active. Suggesting neural interface limitations during heightened transformation state, Bulma concluded, already analyzing implications for potential countermeasures. Quote, the increased physiological stress of transformation must interfere with precise control methodology. Which is why they need the Dragon Protocol, Goku added, understanding expanding based on extra CTED data combined with field observations. The distributed network creates reinforced control field capable of maintaining command integrity even during complete transformation. Lucis Neural Int. Our faces process their accumulated intelligence with enhanced analytical capability, connections forming between disparate data points. The accelerated field testing suggests they've resolved major implementation barriers. Dragon Protocol could transition from theoretical to operational phase within days rather than weeks. The implications settled heavily across their shared awareness. Arasaka's timetable had compressed beyond their previous worst-case projections, creating immediate threat to Night City's population carrying compatible genetic markers, including those unaware of their partial Saiyan heritage. We need to consolidate our intelligence with Vegeta's direct knowledge of Arasaka's operational methodology, Goku decided, tactical assessment forming comprehensive response strategy. And contact the Ox Kingdom regarding their historical records of transformation control techniques. Agreed, Bulma confirmed, already securing their equipment for immediate relocation. The rendezvous point remains viable despite increased corporate activity. Vegeta's diversion successfully fragmented Arasaka's response coordination, creating operational window for our movement. As they prepared for departure, Goku noticed Lucy standing motionless before the secure data storage containing their extracted intelligence, her enhanced eyes focused on information only she could perceive through direct neural interface. There's something else in this data, she said quietly, voice carrying uncharacteristic uncertainty. Something I can't quite access through conventional interpretation protocols. Goku approached, studying her unusual focus with heightened awareness. What do you mean? The Dragon Protocol specifications include reference architecture that doesn't correspond to known development methodologies. She explained, neural interfaces pulsing with increased activity as she processed the anomalous information. It's like echo of something older beneath the contemporary implementation. Fundamental pattern predating current technological parameters. Bulma joined them, professional curiosity engaged by Lucis observation. Could it be remnant code from previous development iteration? Corporate research often builds upon abandoned prototypes from earlier projects. No, Lucy replied with unusual certainty. This feels different, more fundamental, almost like, she hesitated, searching for appropriate conceptual framework. Like technological implementation of something that originally existed without technology. Translation rather than creation. The description triggered recognition in Goku's awareness, connection to fragmented cultural knowledge preserved through oral tradition rather than digital documentation. Stories his adoptive grandfather had shared regarding ancient Saiyan practices predating Earth migration. The Dragon Balls, he said quietly, ancestral memory connecting with present crisis. In Saiyan cultural tradition, they weren't technology but artifacts of power, 7 objects that when brought together could manifest collective will into reality. Both women turned toward him with evident surprise, their respective expertise, technological and digital, momentarily secondary to this unexpected cultural context. You're suggesting Arasaka's Dragon Protocol represents technological implementation of traditional Saiyan concept? Bulma asked, scientific skepticism balanced against respect for cultural knowledge. I'm suggesting the name choice wasn't arbitrary, Goku clarified. The 7-point implementation architecture echoes traditional structure described in preserved cultural narratives. Whether coincidental or deliberate, the resonance exists. Lucis neural interfaces processed this conceptual framework with specialized analytical protocols. The anomalous pattern I detected could represent attempt to incorporate traditional energy manipulation principles into technological implementation. Translation of key-based methodologies into digital architecture, which would explain the specialized authentication requirements we encountered, Bulma added, connections forming between seemingly disparate elements. If the system architecture incorporates traditional energy principles, standard technological authentication would prove insufficient for complete access. The implications expanded beyond immediate tactical concerns, suggesting deeper connection between Night City's current crisis and Saiyan cultural heritage systematically erased through corporate consolidation. Project Uzaru and D-Dragon Protocol potentially represented not merely exploitation of genetic potential but appropriation of traditional knowledge preserved only in fragmented cultural memory. We need to move, Goku decided. Tactical assessment reasserting priority over historical implications. Consolidate our intelligence with allied resources while developing countermeasures against accelerated implementation timeline. As they secured the extraction facility for departure, Lucy approached Goku with uncharacteristic hesitation, professional distance momentarily yielding to personal connection established through shared experience in digital space. "What you did in there," she said quietly, enhanced eyes meeting his with unusual directness. "Prioritizing my extraction over your own safety, that's not standard operational protocol." "I don't operate according to standard protocols," Goku replied simply. "Your expertise remains essential for mission success." Tactical assessment made the priority hierarchy clear. Something shifted in Lucy's expression, clinical assessment yielding to genuine emotional response despite her carefully maintained professional exterior. Most people see netrunners as tools rather than allies. Disposable assets rather than essential personnel. "I'm not most people." "No," she agreed, the ghost of a smile touching her features. "You're definitely not." The moment passed quickly. ATY reasserted priority, but something had changed in their working relationship, mutual respect deepening through shared risk and demonstrated trust. As they prepared for extraction, Lucy's movements carried subtle difference, confidence beyond professional competence, engagement beyond tactical necessity. The ghost in the machine had found unexpected ally in the unmodified Saiyan, technological specialization and traditional energy manipulation converging against common threat. Night City's accelerating crisis had created unlikely partnerships transcending conventional operational parameters. As they departed the secured facility, Goku maintained tactical awareness of their surroundings while processing implications of their discovered intelligence. Project Uzaru had entered implementation phase ahead of projected timeline, field testing transformation triggers and control methodologies throughout Night City's unsuspecting population. The coming conflict would determine not merely corporate power dynamics but fundamental questions of autonomy and identity, technological control versus traditional self-determination. And at the center of this approaching storm stood individuals whose unusual capabilities represented both target and potential salvation. The ghost in the machine, the unmodified Saiyan, the rebellious corporate heiress, the enhanced enforcer questioning programmed loyalty. Unlikely allies converging against existential threat to consciousness itself, whether organic or artificial. Night City's eternal reign continued its relentless descent. As they navigated toward the rendezvous point, corporate surveillance searching for anomalous patterns amid manufactured normality. But beneath visible reality, invisible currents gained momentum, energy patterns ancient and modern converging toward inevitable confrontation. The storm was coming, and with it, transformation beyond corporate anticipation. Chapter 3 End. The End. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.